Where did this come from? Don't block my view of the handsome guy. I'm begging you to trust him, so you won't be bewitched and lose control later by this shameless thing. As the number one in the male escort circle, Jang Deou just happened to run into the wrong person. He was cheated out of both money and affection. To hide from his debts, he ran to the strange yet magical seaside town. Seeing that there was only a little over 1 yuan left in his card, he actually ended up mixing himself into sleeping on the streets. This ability is really impressive. How did he lose his head the moment he saw that guy cry? He must never trust that kind of person again. Annoyed and stifled inside, he only wanted a soul mate in the form of a cigarette. Even worse, he didn't even have a single smoke now. Just then, with a click from a lighter, Jang Deou's attention was instantly yanked over. Tonight's hunting target appeared. Watch how he uses his professional skills to turn this situation around. Step 1, strike up a conversation, smoothly get a cigarette. The man looked him up and down, a clear hint of interest in his eyes. The man looked him up and down, a clear hint of interest in his eyes. Jang Deou dared to say that with his years of experience, this man absolutely couldn't escape the palm of his hand. He also pretty much fit his type. Tall, big hands. As for other parts that made him even more curious, his hand got restless and reached over, wanting to test the size. The man neither dodged nor backed away. Instead, with interest, he asked, "Are you a gigolo?" He really guessed it in one go. Seeing Jang Deou's reaction, the man immediately laughed. "TSK, what trash? You look like one of those cheap goods at a glance. Sharp eye though. But tonight, I've got something better waiting for me." Looking at the man's back as he turned and walked away, Jang Deou could hardly believe it. Had he just been rejected? He was the top host. Usually it was customers flocking around him. He had never been this humiliated. He couldn't hold it in and almost started swearing on the spot. At this moment, his stomach joined the commotion, letting out a loud growl. Just then, a waft of grilled seafood aroma drifted over. For Jang Deou, this was simply a fatal temptation. He couldn't worry about anything else. Staying alive came first. Grilled clams, eat first, talk later. But only after he entered the shop and finished ordering did he realize this little place was way too strange. Every single customer was a man. All men? What kind of shop was this? And that man from just now was also inside. Jang Deou instantly grew guilty and quickly covered his head. He must not be recognized. That would be way too embarrassing. The owner poured him a glass of water, then turned around and went back into the kitchen. He even specially instructed the nearby staff member, "Beiheo, the person who just came in is suspicious. Keep an eye on him. I'm heading out. You mind the shop properly. Call me if anything happens." Beiheo gave a soft in response to show he understood. The owner had almost reached the door when he suddenly turned back and stared at Beiheo. "Don't forget about tonight. Do it well." By the time Jang Deou had eaten and drunk his fill, he was the only one left in the shop. Even the staff were gone. If he didn't run now, then when? But who could tell him? Since when had the door been locked? Just then, Beiheo walked over and asked with a smile, "Have you finished your meal?" Eating was of course very satisfying, but the problem was, he had no money. Now he couldn't run. So Jang Deou could only use the excuse that his friend would be here soon. The friend was of course never going to come, so only one option remained. He was just about to pull out his special skill. But at that moment, Beiheo spoke up. "Use your body to pay it back." Jang Deou instantly lit up, like a drowsy man being handed a pillow. The next second, he hooked an arm around Beiheo's waist and yanked him straight into his arms. He put on a lecherous grin. "Why didn't you say so earlier? I promise I'll make you feel real good." Beiheo immediately pushed him away, unable to hold back his temper. "What are you doing? I meant go to the kitchen and wash the dishes. Who even are you?" "No way. I'm calling the police," Beiheo said, reaching for his phone. Jang Deou panicked at once and hurried to stop him. "I'll wash the dishes. Okay?" Just as the two of them were tussling, a sudden knocking came from outside the door, cutting them off. Beiheo glanced at the group of men outside, immediately put down his phone, and told Jang Deou to leave at once. Jang Deou still stiffened his scalp and said he could go wash the dishes. But Beiheo said there was no need. He would pay for Jang Deou instead. His tone was hard, and he only urged him to leave quickly. He looked like some innocent little shop clerk, but it turned out he was even better at playing the game than Jang Deou. Jang Deou was secretly delighted. His luck was insane. He actually didn't have to pay for the meal. He was floating, feeling like his good fortune could carry him to the heavens, letting him eat everywhere for free, when the phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated. He really had run into some good luck. Someone actually chose this moment to pay him back. Come to think of it, He and Lee Chunbei hadn't been familiar with each other at all in the beginning. That guy loved using some corny old stories to scam money out of customers. He acted so fierce and over the top that even Jang Deou couldn't bear to watch. It was only a matter of time before the creditors came knocking. Back then, Li Yuan had stepped in out of kindness and paid money to bail him out. From then on, that kid started clinging to him and wouldn't let go. He never expected that, after the incident, the first person willing to believe him would actually be him. Thinking of this made Jang Deou feel even worse. He couldn't go on living like this, owing people money even for a single meal. He went back to the little restaurant where he had just eaten. The front door was already closed, but the light in the back kitchen storeroom was still on. He walked to the storeroom door, not expecting to see a scene like this. Inside there were two men, tightly entangled with that clerk. The scene was way over the top. To see someone who looked so innocent actually know how to play like that. Just then, someone patted him on the shoulder. "What's the rush? Can't you see everyone's lining up?" Only then did he notice that the small alley next to him was packed with men. He suddenly remembered that not long ago, that little clerk had even cursed him out. He himself had done this line of work before, but this kind of play he really couldn't stomach. This restaurant really gave him a headache so bad it felt suffocating. Now that he had a bit of money in hand, at least Jang Deou didn't have to sleep on the streets. He first rented a room, then thought, there were quite a few people he owed money to. If he could get all that money back, maybe he could still plug that hole. The unlucky thing was, his phone had disappeared. Once the phone was gone, the little money left in his card wouldn't last long. The next day, he could only look for a job first, just to feed himself. He heard that going out to sea to fish could earn big money, but the boss complained that he was too skinny to handle the work. To think that a big brother whose name used to carry weight in the circle would actually see a day like this. In the end, he only found one job: digging clams together with a group of middle-aged women. You couldn't earn much per jean, but Jang Deou gritted his teeth and thought, as long as I fight hard enough, I'll definitely be able to pay the money back. By a twist of fate, he actually dug up a pearl. With that, he became even more fired up. Without realizing it, Zhenshin had left those middle-aged women far behind. Sitting on the shore, Beiheo watched him, but was thinking, how much longer can he keep this up? He remembered what that man had said last night. Next time, the number of people had to double again. The reason was straightforward. There were too few pearls dug up yesterday, not enough. But he really couldn't take it anymore. Yet that man kept reminding him over and over, you still have to pay off your debt. I'm the one who pulled you out of the mire. If you don't behave and do as you're told, I'll send you right back into the hands of those demons. Immersed in that grief, he was abruptly dragged out of it by the repeated shouts of Pearl. He saw that same big oaf from yesterday, shouting Pearl with his mouth, while still desperately digging clams with his hands. That unwilling, unyielding spirit somehow made his own chest tighten as well. Just as he was about to turn around and go back, the tide on the sea began to rise. The middle-aged women were all retreating to the shore, but that fool was still walking toward deeper water. He instinctively shouted at Jang Deou, telling him to come back quickly. When Jang Deou heard someone shouting, he turned around and saw it was the clerk from yesterday. Could he be here to ask for the meal money? Yesterday he had acted so generous, but it turns out he just wants to settle old scores. Jang Deou pretended not to hear and instead quickened his pace. As a result, he lost his footing and his foot sank straight into the silt, and no matter how he pulled, he couldn't get it out. In the blink of an eye, the seawater surged over, and only then did Jang Deou realize something really had gone wrong. The aunties on the shore also noticed he still hadn't come back up. The tide was rising too fast. There was no time to wait for anyone. Am I really going to end it here today? If I'd known, I would have slept with a few more, at least it wouldn't be a loss. All of a sudden, Beiheo tore off his jacket in one motion and charged toward him, straight into the oncoming tide. I never thought that, in the prime of my life, I'd die here. Jang Deou gulped down seawater with a gurgling sound. If he'd known, he would have slept with a few more. In a daze, he saw a glowing angel swimming toward him. I'm even starting to hallucinate. Looks like I'm really done for. When he opened his eyes again, what he saw was a completely unfamiliar place. What is this place? Damn it. Did I just transmigrate? The next second, he heard someone say, calm down. This is my home. Can't you put something normal in that head of yours? Only then did Jang Deou see clearly that the person speaking was that little shop clerk. The little shop clerk, Beiheo, handed a glass of water to him. You don't even have this bit of common sense? You don't understand tides at all. Beiheo complained with a frown. Jang Deou, however, looked completely blank, having no idea what he was talking about. A thought flashed through Jang Deou's mind. The angel he saw underwater. Wasn't it this very person standing in front of him? He watched Beiheo busily moving around, even taking his clothes to hang them up to dry. Jang Deou felt even more embarrassed and lowered his voice. Thank you. I owe you another favor. Beiheo was a little curious. Are you here on vacation? What about the friends you mentioned last time? Where are they? Jang Deou sighed. Do I look like I came here for a vacation? Beiheo pressed on. Then what are you doing here? Jang Deou felt even more helpless. He was only here to hide from trouble. Right at that moment, his stomach cooperatively rumbled loudly. Beiheo looked speechless. What a worrisome guy. Just as expected. I'll go out and buy you dinner. You go wash off that fishy sea smell on you first. Only then did Jang Deou realize that he really did have an unpleasant fishy sea smell on his body. Beiheo had just changed his shoes and was about to go out when he heard Jang Deou ask, "Is this the bathroom?" He turned his head and saw Jang Deou was already completely naked, standing at the bathroom door staring straight at him. Beiheo's face instantly flushed red, and his tone suddenly grew sharp. Why aren't you wearing any clothes? Jang Deou looked completely justified. Weren't you the one who told me to take a shower? Have you ever seen anyone bathe with their clothes on? Beiheo hurriedly turned his back. All right, just go in quickly. His heart was both upset and in turmoil. Why am I getting shy? But that guy down there is really absurdly big. What was even more absurd was that the shameless guy was still shouting from inside. Remember to buy something tasty on your way back. On his way back with the things he had just bought, as Beiheo passed a narrow alley, he suddenly heard a few cat meows. He turned into that dark and narrow alley, and before he had gone far, he saw a little black cat. He hadn't gone far when he saw a little black cat, and immediately rummaged through the things he had just bought, wanting to find something the kitten could eat. Suddenly, a hand pressed down on his head. A nauseating voice sounded right by his ear. Didn't expect to run into you here. Beiheo lifted his eyes. It was that Unrequited-love. Forcing himself to stay calm, he quietly told the other man to let him go. But how could Unrequited-love possibly let such delicacy delivered to his mouth escape? He yanked Beiheo up, pinned him against the wall, and his hands started groping everywhere. Unrequited-love slammed him hard against the wall, pinning him there while groping him. Beiheo was so frightened he wanted to scream, but his mouth was covered. Your body is really soft, just like a woman's. He laughed in a disgusting way. And you're even more beautiful than any woman I've ever seen. Didn't the boss complain yesterday that we were short on pearls? Today, I finally ran into you outside the shop. I'll make up what you're short of. How about that? Beiheo struggled desperately, but it was completely useless. As the kitten let out urgent cries one after another, it finally drew people over, and no matter how unwilling Unrequited-love was, he could only flee first. Beiheo curled up in the corner, trembling, not even daring to raise his head. He kept tugging at his own clothes, asking himself over and over in his heart, why does it have to be me? Why is my body so special? Eating the steaming hot ramen, that sense of satisfaction almost made one want to cry. Jang Deou sized up this room. It was roughly 10 square meters or so. He was calculating in his mind. The little shop assistant is probably living alone. Staying in a hotel myself is quite expensive, so I might as well coax him and borrow a place for one night. Shouldn't be a problem. Just as Jang Deou leaned over, ready to carry out his plan, things simply refused to go his way, and Beiheo directly threw out a line. Once you're done eating, take your clothes and hurry up and leave. Jang Deou, still unwilling to give up, wanted to say something more to salvage the situation. Beiheo only glared darkly, as if to say, can't you understand human speech? Once you're done eating, hurry up and get lost. All the way down the stairs, Jang Deou still couldn't believe it. Was his charm now completely useless? Didn't he have feelings for me? If he didn't, then why did he add an egg to my ramen? How could it end up like this? Are the people in this small town all poisonous or something? How could it end up like this? The people in this small town are all poisonous. He stomped along cursing the whole way. I don't care anyway. I'm not begging for it. What a stingy brat. What he didn't know was that after he left, Beiheo was gritting his teeth and playing poker alone in order to make up for the pearls. The next day, after Beiheo finished cleaning up the shop, he walked up to the boss, handed over the bag, and said, this is what was missing before. The boss poured the pearls into his palm and asked him where they came from. Beiheo, finding it hard to speak, said, yesterday I, by myself. After listening, the boss laughed. Did it yourself? Looks like you weren't happy. And this is all. Then his face darkened, and he suddenly grabbed Beiheo's chin. With the body you have now, there's no use without strong stimulation. Don't do those pointless things and waste your energy. Doing things according to my arrangements is the only way you can pay off your debt. Disobeying means punishment. After saying that, he stuffed all the pearls into Beiheo's mouth. Luckily, Just then a customer came into the shop, so the boss temporarily let him go and turned around to serve them. And among the 3 people who came was that Nuljin Sareji from yesterday. As soon as he walked in, his eyes stuck to Beiheo. The boss took note of this and directly told Beiheo to go and serve him well. On the other side, Jang Deou was wandering aimlessly in the street. His luck was utterly rotten. Now no one would even hire him to dig clams. His money was almost gone. How was he supposed to live from now on? Without realizing it, he walked to the small shop where Beiheo was, and when he looked up he saw a hiring notice posted at the door. Beiheo didn't want to go anywhere near that Nuljin Sareji at all. But when the boss cast that "don't you dare not go try" look down on him, he could only brace himself and go over to serve them. The moment Beiheo sat down next to him, Nuljin Sareji immediately took advantage, reaching out to grope all over Beiheo. Their companions also stared at him with lecherous faces, giggling. "You look good, and you're this obedient. Really can't believe you're a man. You're even more useful than a woman." Nuljin Sareji's hand became more and more out of line, and he teased right by Beiheo's ear. "You think I come here every day for your family's food? I come for you. For the sake of getting you more excited so you produce more pearls. We really haven't been slacking off." Just when Beiheo was so disgusted he was about to throw up, Nuljin Sareji was suddenly shoved aside by someone, only to see Jang Deou charging over and giving him a brilliant smile. "Uncle, you're reacting already? It really is super big." But with his manhood clutched in Jang Dou's hand, Nuljin Sareji didn't dare move at all. Jang Deou even slowly tightened his grip, and Nuljin Sareji immediately howled in pain. "For this kind of thing, come to me. I'm the best at it." "But uncle, do you have a lot of money?" It wasn't until Jang Deou saw the boss walking over in this direction that he hurriedly let go, instantly putting on a well-behaved, harmless expression. As soon as Nuljin Sareji was let go, he pointed at Jang Deou and roared, "Where the hell did you pop out from?" Jang Deou pulled that recruitment flyer out of his pocket, still wearing the same smile. "I'm a clerk here." That one sentence left everyone dumbfounded. The boss asked what he meant, and Jang Deou immediately leaned in close to the boss, smiling ingratiatingly. "Boss, my name is Jang Deou. I'm young and handsome. I can endure hardship and swallow my pride, and I can do any kind of work." The Nuljin Sareji next to him immediately shouted, "Choi Byakwon. What the hell is this supposed to mean?" Of course, Choi Byakwon also wanted to know what was going on, but he had no time to think, because an entire tour group suddenly rushed into the shop. Looking at the tiny shop that was instantly packed to bursting, Choi Byakwon made his decision on the spot. And just like that, Jang Deou successfully landed the job. Nuljin Sareji refused to accept it on the spot and immediately turned to demand an explanation from Choi Byakwon. Choi Byakwon's face darkened, and he coldly warned him to be smart about it. Nuljin Sareji was shocked that the boss turned on him so quickly, but he didn't dare act out in front of him. At this moment, Jang Deou directly put his arm around Nuljin Sareji's shoulder. "If you want to pick a fight, first see whether you've got what it takes. Got it?" After saying that, he happily went off to find our little Beiheo. Nuljin Sareji glared at them, gnashing his teeth. "We'll see about that." There were too many customers, and the two of them were busy until very late before they finally closed. While Jang Deou kept complaining non-stop about how exhausting and tough it was, Beiheo thought of how he'd been overly enthusiastic with him today and wanted to slip away quietly. But then he thought again about what happened that morning. Maybe he should at least say thank you. Just then, Jang Deou suddenly turned around and looked at him. Startled, Beiheo quickly said, "I'm heading out first. Don't be late tomorrow." Seeing that Beiheo was really about to leave, Jang Deou reached out and yanked him back. "Aren't you, as my senior, going to buy me a drink? We'll be co-workers from now on. Shouldn't you show a bit of welcome?" When Beiheo looked up, he saw that sly smile of his. Staring at that sly smile, Beiheo recalled that every time he saw Jang Deou, either he was sticking way too close, or he was taking his clothes off at the drop of a hat. The next second, Beiheo's heart tightened. Could it really be like those rumors about things that happen in late-night bars? With that thought, Beiheo suddenly yanked his hand free and shouted at him, "I'm not that easy to fool." Jang Deou watched speechlessly as Beiheo ran farther and farther away. "What's wrong with him? Don't tell me he misunderstood me." Beiheo ran for quite a while and finally felt he had shaken them off, letting out a sigh of relief in his heart. "Luckily, I reacted fast, or I really would have been tricked by him." But the moment he thought of scammer, Beiheo couldn't help but recall, that thing, it seemed kind of big. Beiheo immediately shook those unhealthy images out of his head. Only then did he look up at his surroundings. It was pitch black. He couldn't see a thing. He didn't even know where he had run to. He took out his phone to check his location, but as soon as the screen lit up, The shadow reflected on it made cold sweat break out all over him. What did I do wrong? Why just won't these people let me go? And I just had to run to such a remote place. Now I really can't escape the palms of their hands. They dragged Beiheo all the way to the end of the alley. Nuljin Sureji had already been holding in his anger. Seeing that he still wasn't obedient, he lifted his foot and kicked Beiheo hard in the stomach. The pain made Beiheo curl up completely, coughing uncontrollably. Seeing this, Nuljin Sureji immediately told 2 people to haul Beiheo up. He started taking off his own clothes, cursing non-stop as he did. And you dare not take me seriously? You think just because some idiot stands up for you, you get to turn things around? Keep dreaming. Same as before. Serve me properly first. Watching his movements, Beiheo trembled all over, shaking his head desperately, his hoarse voice crying out that he didn't want this. He had to complete the task the boss had assigned, but this kind of thing he really couldn't accept. Just when he was plunged into utter despair, Nuljin Sureji was suddenly sent flying by a punch and crashed heavily to the ground. They saw that man speak arrogantly. Didn't I warn you before? Looking for trouble? First see whether you've got what it takes. If you don't understand, that's fine. I can make you understand with my fists. The moment he recalled seeing them tailing Beiheo just now, Jang Deou couldn't help but follow along. Otherwise, he didn't dare imagine the consequences. Before long, Jang Deou was holding up his phone, forcing the 3 of them to strike all kinds of humiliating poses. The 3 could only obediently do as they were told, because this guy was practically a demon. If they so much as did anything that displeased him, what awaited them was a round of punches and kicks. Sitting off to the side, Beiheo really couldn't bear to watch any longer. He wanted to speak up and stop it, but the big footprint on his clothes pinned him to where he sat. Jang Deou gave those few people another round of beating. After taking the photos, Jang Deou handed the phone to Beiheo. Beiheo was even more confused. Why was he using his phone to take these weird, embarrassing photos? Jang Deou grabbed his hand and directly shoved the phone back to him. With these photos, you can threaten them. They won't dare come and mess with you again. Only then did Beiheo realize that those humiliating photos could be used this way. He couldn't help asking, could it be that Jang Deou was in the mob? Jang Deou froze for a moment. Are you kidding me? Have you ever seen a gangster this handsome? But it's understandable that you misunderstand me like this. Who told me to be so amazing? Isn't it quite a surprise? Are you about to be knocked down by my charm and good looks? Beiheo was amused by his shamelessness and burst out laughing. Come on, let's go for a drink. Just think of it as welcoming you to work with me. After struggling in the mud for so long, someone had finally reached out a hand to him. Beiheo's impression of Jang Deou completely changed. With beer and some skewers, the distance between the 2 of them also narrowed a lot. Jang Deou kept bragging, saying he used to be great at fighting and no one dared to mess with him. Beiheo just assumed he was drunk and talking big. Beiheo couldn't help asking him, aren't you ever afraid? But Jang Deou simply said, my life was saved by you. And besides, I don't take those people seriously at all. He paused. But why do they keep targeting you and refusing to let go? That sentence happened to hit the place Beiheo least wanted to face. He couldn't even say clearly when it had all started. He could only forcefully change the subject. When Jang Deou heard that Beiheo was already 25, and even a year older than him, he was completely stunned. Because no matter how you looked at him, Beiheo seemed like a 17 or 18-year-old boy. Maybe it was that emotions suppressed for too long had nowhere to go, or maybe it was that the person in front of him made Beiheo feel very safe. Sure enough, Beiheo got drunk right there at the table, collapsed forward and fell asleep, even starting to snore. Jang Deou was stunned on the spot. How could that work? No matter what, he had to settle the bill before going to sleep. He fussed for a long time, but no matter what he did, he could not wake Beiheo up. They had clearly agreed that Beiheo would treat, so how did it end up with him paying in the end? Jang Deou finally managed to get Beiheo back home, grumbling the whole way. You drink this little and you're already done? Resigned, he stepped forward and took off Beiheo's shoes for him, and only then did things quiet down as he stared at him. He suspected he was drunk too. Otherwise, why did the person in front of him look so good-looking? The slightly parted lips, the reddened ears, and the loosened collar. That feeling was like a blatant reminder. Hurry up and come over. Jang Deou uncontrollably leaned in bit by bit, and was just about to reach that sweetness. But then he suddenly realized that the person beneath him was crying. As if sensing someone approaching, Beiheo seemed to sink into a nightmare, tears falling non-stop. He cried as he shouted, "No, no, it was my fault." The next day, the 2 of them were busy working in the shop. Hungover from yesterday, Beiheo's head throbbed in waves. When exactly did I drink until I blacked out? What was worse was, did I say something I shouldn't have last night? But the moment I opened my eyes, I was already at home. He rummaged through his bag and none of the money was missing. Beiheo secretly glanced at Jang Deou. So Jang Deou paid the bill himself and even took me home? How come this guy hasn't complained even once? Before long, Jang Deou placed a bottle of hangover remedy in front of him. Beiheo froze, staring at the bottle, unable to figure out what Jang Deou was trying to do. Jang Deou said in a low voice, "You got drunk yesterday, and you're still unsteady on your feet. Drinking some of this will help." Beiheo picked up the hangover remedy and couldn't help asking, "Isn't this from our shop?" Jang Deou instantly broke composure and stammered, "This is especially set aside for you." Then he asked again if those people would come today. Beiheo paused for a moment, his mood suddenly sinking, clearly very dejected. Jang Deou reached out and picked up the scissors beside them, handing them to Beiheo. "If they hurt you again, you've got to fight back." Jang Deou stared at him. "Don't wait for someone else to save you. You need to learn to save yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, he directly wrapped his hand around Beiheo's, and with a click, the scissors snipped the chili pepper in two. Then, satisfied, he leaned in close to Beiheo's ear, his breath pressing against him. "Like this, got it." Thump. Beiheo's heart felt as if it had been slammed hard, almost leaping out of his chest. Just as Beiheo felt his heartbeat getting faster and faster, an ill-timed voice suddenly cut in. "You too? Since when did you get so close?" Jang Deou immediately gave the newcomer a goofy smile. "Morning, boss. I was just thinking about when you'd get here." The boss ignored him and walked straight over to Beiheo. "After you get off work today, come back to the shop once more around midnight. Don't fail to complete the task again." When he turned his head, he saw that Jang Deou was still staring at him, so he just smiled. "Sorry, I'm here to see Beiheo. You just got here. If there's anything you don't know, ask him more. I've got something to do today, so I'll be counting on the two of you." With that, he walked off without looking back. Beiheo stared at the scissors in front of him, his heart sinking as he fell into deep thought. After closing up that night, Beiheo told Jang Deou to leave first, saying he would go home for a bit. He hadn't gone far when he felt someone was following him. His fingers clamped tightly around the scissors in his bag, and he spun around and ran. Seeing him run, the person behind him immediately rushed forward to grab him. Gritting his teeth, Beiheo suddenly turned back and swung the scissors down hard. Why won't they just leave him alone? Why won't they just leave him alone? When he opened his eyes, Jang Deou raised his hand and wiped the blood from his face. "You really are obedient. You learned that so quickly." The courage Beiheo had just managed to muster shattered in an instant, and he shouted furiously, "Why are you here?" Jang Deou explained, "When you left, you were like a little mouse that had been frightened. I was worried, so I followed you." "Why did you follow me? My business has nothing to do with you." Beiheo was clearly a bit out of control, still gripping the scissors tightly in his hand. Jang Deou suddenly laughed instead. "You did take my words to heart. Luckily, the person behind you was me. If it had been someone else, you'd be in real trouble. But remember, it's fine to protect yourself. Just don't let yourself get into trouble." Hearing this, Beiheo slowly calmed down, and only then noticed that blood was still dripping down Jang Deu's face. He suddenly grew anxious and grabbed Jang Deou, running home with him. Back home, Beiheo took out the first aid kit. Jang Deou swept his gaze over the neatly stocked medicines in the cabinet and froze for a moment. Beiheo said casually that he was always getting hurt, so he kept a lot on hand. Beiheo said he kept so many because he was always getting hurt. Jang Deu's heart clenched. Was it those people again? Beiheo seemed to see right through his thoughts. "Don't overthink it. It's just that there are occasional emergencies at the shop." With that, he reached out to treat Jang Deu's wound. Jang Deou didn't care at all. "It just grazed me. It's nothing. Just help me wash my clothes. They've got blood on them." Beiheo directly raised a mirror and let him see for himself. Sure enough, just as expected, the moment Jang Deou saw the wound on his face, he exploded. "He lives off his looks. How is he supposed to live from now on? Such a handsome face. Ruined just like that? How is he supposed to keep his pretty boy status?" Beiheo really couldn't listen to it anymore and cut him off directly. "If you don't put on the medicine, it really will leave a scar. Don't worry, I have experience. I won't let this handsome face of yours be marked." Only then did Jang Deou reluctantly nod and let him apply the medicine. But he still kept crying out in pain, one shout after another. Seeing him not cooperating, Beiheo got angry. "How come you weren't this dramatic when you were fighting?" He simply ignored how Jang Deou tried to dodge, pinched his chin directly, and lowered his head to carefully apply the medicine. Just then, the phone suddenly rang. Beiheo picked it up and saw that it was a text from the boss, reminding him not to forget to go to the warehouse in an hour. The boss was urging him to hurry to the warehouse to do that kind of thing. Beiheo irritably flipped the phone face down on the table. He continued tending to Jang Deu's wound, but Jang Deou kept squirming around, and it was impossible to tell whether it really hurt or if he was just making trouble on purpose. As Jang Deou struggled, his whole body just happened to fall on top of Beiheo. Only he could turn applying medicine into something this aggressive. He really was refreshing the definition of absurd. Beiheo froze for a second, the tips of his ears burning, and asked in a low voice, "What are you trying to do?" Jang Deou, his face also flushed, pushed back. "Haven't I been telling you this whole time that it hurts?" In this position, they were impossibly close, body temperature shooting up, heartbeat in chaos. When something this good-looking was right in front of you and you still didn't make a move, you didn't count as a man. With something this good-looking. Of course, Jang Deou didn't want to let it go. He seized the chance, held his breath down, and inched closer bit by bit. But he was too nervous, and his hands were neither light nor steady. Beiheo, whose wrist he was gripping, hurt so much that he let out a muffled groan. That one sound cut off all the ambiguity in the room at once. Jang Deou immediately stood up, apologizing over and over, then pretended he couldn't bear the heat, said the atmosphere was a bit awkward, and that he wanted to head out first. Beiheo stared at him, thinking of the task the boss had assigned. Besides, he had no way out anymore anyway. He quickly reached out to grab the rising Jang Deou, his voice tight, "Don't go!" While Jang Deou was still stunned, Beiheo just leaned straight in and pressed himself against him. Beiheo's face was flushed to the extreme as he softly begged him, Would you like to stay?" He didn't even wait for Jang Dou's answer. Afraid that Jang Deou would refuse, he panicked and started tugging at Jang Dou's clothes, and Jang Deou pinned his hand down in one move. "Wait!" That one word nailed Beiheo to the spot, the awkwardness making his skin tingle. Yet he still clung to a sliver of hope and asked, "You don't want to?" Seeing Beiheo like this instead coaxed a laugh out of Jang Deou. He really was unbearably cute. It wasn't that he didn't want to. It was just that the order needed to be reversed. Jang Deou didn't like letting the other party take the lead in this kind of thing. The top star in the male escort world didn't earn that title for nothing. It all shows during the back-and-forth duel between two people. Beiheo was the first who couldn't hold out and lost the battle, while Jang Deou, on the contrary, was actually startled. Something that glows when you hit it in the stomach. What on earth is that? After the two of them got dressed, Beiheo carefully gathered up each pearl and packed them away. Jang Dou's heart sank. Could it be that Beiheo has some hidden condition that nobody knows about? Suppressing his panic, he asked, "Are you sick somewhere?" Beiheo played dumb and asked what he meant. Jang Deou pointed at that part of him. "You have a lot of stones in your body." Pressed by his questions, Beiheo's face darkened a little with annoyance. "They're not some kind of stones." In the end, Beiheo still let out a soft sigh and revealed the secret. He wasn't like other people, he had a special constitution. At that time, what came out were pearls. Jang Deou was instantly stunned. "Has it always been like this?" Beiheo found it hard to talk about, but he still nodded and admitted it. Jang Deou grew even more flustered. "Won't something go wrong with your body?" Beiheo clearly didn't want him to keep asking, only saying that he was fine. And by the way, reminding Jang Deou that it was time for him to leave. Beiheo looked at that big bag of pearls. There were really a lot. Even he felt it was absurd, and he had to admit he was indeed impressive. What he didn't know was that among them, there was one pearl that had quietly fallen into Jang Dou's hand. The world is so big that anything can happen. After Jang Deou came out from Beiheo, he remained in a state that gave people a headache, because he couldn't figure it out. How could there be such an outrageous physique? Even the mermaids in myths only had tears that could turn into pearls. He took out the pearl hidden in his pocket and held it up under the moonlight. Sure enough, it was the real deal, but this directly overturned his understanding. Early the next morning, he went to a place that bought pearls. Early the third morning, he went to another place that bought pearls, and the appraisal result gave him a fright. This pearl was both large and of excellent quality. It even aroused the shop owner's suspicion. The owner pressed him about where it came from, and Jang Deou was so scared he hurried to explain. It was a gift from a friend. Seeing that he looked quite presentable and was extremely handsome, such looks were truly rare. The owner seemed to suddenly figure something out and, in the end, stopped asking. When Jang Deou learned that a single one could sell for 1 or 2,000, he thought of how Beiheo had shot out a whole bunch yesterday. My God, how much money would that be? Now Jang Deou was extremely annoyed. He wanted to go find Beiheo immediately and ask clearly, but he was afraid his motives would seem impure. Just as he was wandering back toward the shop, he happened to see a few people hiding in a corner gossiping, and among them was that Nuljan Sareji. "We worked so hard to help him earn pearls, and he actually stood us up." Another scumbag chimed in, "How about we go and drag him back? Or maybe from now on we should all charge money. That way we can enjoy it and make money. Doesn't that feel great or what?" Jang Deou had originally been about to go over and teach them a lesson, But his feet suddenly stopped, so that meant they all knew. Right now, he just wanted to go find Beiheo immediately and ask him clearly. That time he saw him in the warehouse, was all of that just to get the pearl? What about me then? Was I being used by him too? Weren't we together because we liked each other? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got, and the faster his steps became. At the turn of the corridor, he ran straight into Beiheo, who happened to be carrying things out of the warehouse. But the moment he actually saw Beiheo, Jang Deou instead didn't know where to start. As soon as Beiheo saw him, he started complaining. Do you know what time it is and you're only getting here now? It's exhausting doing all the work by myself. Jang Deou mumbled an apology. Seeing his reaction, Beiheo instantly thought of last night. His ears grew hot, and he hurriedly turned his face away, forcing himself to sound angry. It's not that big a mistake, so I'll let you off for today. When he finished, he shoved the box into Jang Deu's hands. This one's for you, and you can do all the rest. But at first glance, Jang Deou could tell something was off about Beiheo, and he couldn't help asking, did you get a haircut? Beiheo's face turned even redder. Yeah, I wanted a change of mood. Does it look good? Jang Deou simply followed the words in his heart and let them out. It looks especially good. As soon as Beiheo heard that, he felt like he was floating, shy to the point of wanting to hide. Yet he still forced out a very lame excuse. Guests are coming soon, hurry up. But he stopped after only a couple of steps, didn't dare look back, his voice tight as he cautiously asked, from now on, can you come over to my place a lot, like you did yesterday? Seeing that Jang Deou didn't respond, he turned around and moved a step closer. Then tonight, do you want to come? Right now, Jang Deou felt as if a huge rock was pressing down on him, his chest heavy, almost unable to breathe. Beiheo didn't dare look into Jang Deu's eyes, so he didn't see the embarrassed look on Jang Deu's face either. It doesn't have to be tonight. Any day you want is fine. Jang Deou still asked the question he most wanted answered. What exactly is your reason for wanting me to come to your place? But just then, the boss's car screeched to a stop right in front of them. Everything that happened last night. Was he using me the whole time? But before he could get a clear answer, the boss's car had already stopped in front of them. The boss strode toward them, full of anger, and seeing the obviously fuming boss, Jang Deou immediately put on his professional smile to greet him. But the boss still ignored him and walked straight up to Beiheo. Being stared at by the boss made Beiheo's scalp prickle, and his heart instantly fell into chaos. The boss tossed out just two words, get in. With that, he turned around and left. Beiheo followed after him almost on reflex. The two of them went into the kitchen storage room, and the boss lifted Beiheo's hair with a cold sneer. Our Beiheo has started dressing up too now? Suddenly, he grabbed Beiheo's ear in one quick squeeze. What kind of madness are you having again? You weren't like this before. Now you even dare to disobey me? Do you know how much of everyone's time you've wasted? As he spoke, he seized Beiheo's head and slammed it hard against the wall. There was a loud thud. Through the glass door, Jang Deou could only see a blur of human figures. No matter how he looked, it seemed like Beiheo was being bullied by the boss inside. What on earth was happening in there? Suddenly, he remembered there was a window in the back, from which he could see into the room. Inside the room, the boss was shaking with rage, clutching tightly at Beiheo's hair. Have I treated you too well lately? So well that you dare to defy me now? Have you forgotten who let you live a normal life? Do you want me to help you remember those days? As long as I want to, I can send you back at any time. Just then, while he was off guard, Beiheo reached out and grabbed the scissors beside him. With the scissors pointed at the boss, his face was covered with tears, but his voice was vicious. Don't touch me! Forced to step back, the boss watched as Beiheo, panting, continued. As long as I pay back all the money, I won't have to follow you anymore. Do you think I'm stupid? You don't care about any pearls at all. You just want to satisfy your perverted tastes. What you like is only watching me be humiliated by others. After he finished speaking, he took out the pearls and slapped them directly onto the boss. From now on, however many pearls you want, I'll give you that many. But don't even think about making me satisfy your hobbies again. The boss took the pearls, examined them briefly, then suddenly laughed. There didn't used to be this many, and they were never this big. Looks like you found a toy you're interested in. Huh? What, are you planning to keep this up from now on? Seeing that stubborn-to-the-end expression on Beiheo's face, he gave a cold snort. You won't turn back until you hit the wall, then just wait and see. But don't come crying and begging me when the time comes. Don't forget you still owe more than 80 million. After saying that, he walked out without looking back. And as Jang Deou looked at the tear-streaked Beiheo, his heart clenched in pain, beat after beat. With a constitution like his, how could his life possibly go smoothly? He also knew that Beiheo might be just like that guy in Why, using him all the time, lying to him all the time. But so what even if that's the case? He couldn't suppress his own heart. Right now, he just wanted to hold Beiheo, to give Beiheo something to lean on. He might have fallen into it again this time. Beiheo saw him come in and forced out a smile. Is everything outside already moved? Jang Deou pulled him into his arms. Don't move. This is your reward for being obedient. His little pearl might be hiding many secrets, but so what? Right now, he only wanted to protect him. As long as the car drove faster, Beiheo could produce more pearls. And Jang Deou was the top host in the gigolo world. The one who'd been scammed into a mountain of debt and saddled with a notorious reputation. Are they huddling together just to keep struggling in the mud? Or can they actually turn their lives around and shake off their predicament? That night, Jang Deou smoothly went home with Beiheo, then half coaxing, half tricking, lured Beiheo into a live-in relationship. That very night, the two of them had some in-depth communication. And looking at all the pearls scattered on the floor, the commentator only wants to say, you two need to show some restraint. Afterward, Beiheo still couldn't hold back his doubt. How are you so good at this? The first time we met, you said you were very good at doing this with your body. Jang Deou just laughed it off. I became a natural only after meeting you. Seeing that he didn't want to talk, Beiheo didn't press him further. Who doesn't have a few secrets they don't want to talk about? But when Jang Deou saw that Beiheo wasn't going to keep asking, he actually felt a bit disappointed and started fiddling with the pearls on the floor, rolling them around. As soon as Beiheo saw that, his face instantly flushed bright red. He reached out and snatched the pearls away, hurriedly saying, "Don't play with that. It's not meant for playing." Watching Beiheo squat down to pick up the pearls on the floor, Jang Deou deliberately teased him. "What's the big deal about letting me play with it for a bit? Is this thing really that precious?" Beiheo immediately tensed up and rushed to explain. I'm not panicking, I just like collecting them." Jang Deou directly pulled Beiheo into his arms. "Oh yeah? Then I'll let you collect them till you're sick of it." On the TV screen, a drama adapted from a novel starring Beiheo was playing. The boss swirled his glass of red wine, his brows knitting tighter and tighter, while the voice from the TV kept playing over and over. "This guy is really something. If I make good use of him, I can definitely make a lot of money, and he even looks this exciting." Yet these words only made the boss even more annoyed. How can he make him and Little Pearl behave and do as they're told? Who is the interesting toy here? Besides the new clerk, who else is he close to? The boss irritably turned off the TV and reached out to pick up the phone beside him. And that phone was exactly the one Jang Deou had dropped. It turned out that on that day outside the warehouse, the boss had picked it up. At daybreak, the boss took Pearl to get an appraisal done, and by coincidence, it was the very shop Jang Deou had gone to yesterday. The old man doing the appraisal rarely saw pearls of such high quality and couldn't help sighing. "Yesterday's and today's are both really good." Choi Byuk-won frowned and pressed him. "What do you mean?" The old man looked even more puzzled. "The one who brought pearls yesterday, wasn't he your friend? Just like you, tall and handsome. That one. He said they were a gift from a friend, so I thought of you right away. Are you two in aquaculture together? The ones you brought this time are absurdly good in quality." The boss handed over the lock screen photo on Jang Deou's phone for the old man to see, and the moment the old man nodded in confirmation, sure enough, it was him. Choi Byuk-won's gaze darkened. This matter would be even easier to handle than he had thought. But what methods will the crazy, twisted, sickly possessive Choi Byuk-won use to tear them apart and then press Beiheo back into the position of obedient and well-behaved? Peter Pan was where Jang Deou used to work. It was still early, and a few brightly dressed handsome guys were sitting in the break room. Lee Chun-bae stared at the text message on his phone, so angry his teeth were about to crack. The guy next to him saw him like that and couldn't help asking, "Didn't you just hook a rich date? Why are you still unhappy?" Lee Chun-bae started swearing right away. "That scumbag is just a con man, a broke loser. Can't a tall, rich, handsome just fall from the sky?" The guy sneered. "Someone like that wouldn't look twice at us." Lee Chun-bae snorted. "A handsome guy of my level is bound to meet one sooner or later. It's you cheap goods who should learn to accept your fate." The guy was instantly pissed off by him. "So what if you're handsome? Isn't Jang Deou-hyung that handsome? And he still ended up with a trash boyfriend all the same. He's already mixed down to that point. How could you possibly be more handsome than him?" The moment I mentioned Siedo, Lee Chun-bae immediately grew upset. As long as he heard Jang Deou, his heart would sink at once. Jang Deou-hyung hadn't contacted him for a long time now. Had he really forgotten him? Just then, the floor manager came over with a notice. "Go to room 3. Word was it was a rich client who wanted to book them all." Lee Chun-bae had still been sulking, but the moment he heard the words "very rich," he instantly perked up and was the first to rush into the private room. But at the very first glance he cast inside the room, His tall, rich, handsome really was like he had fallen straight down from the sky. All the other guys were standing properly in a row, bowing and greeting, only he was frozen in place. This person was simply like he'd been tailor-made for him. Gulp. Really like he'd been tailor-made for him. No matter what happened today, he was gonna get this man. Choi Byuk-won swept a glance over this group of hosts, his frown deepening. At a glance, they were just like Jang Deou cheap. He suddenly laughed, pulled out a thick wad of cash, and flung it out. All of you, roll around with each other. Seeing that they were still frozen, he added another line. I told you to do it for me to watch. Don't you understand? Money is not a problem. The person next to Lee Chunbei leaned closer to him and whispered, I've heard the guys from other clubs talk about this. There's this very rich, very handsome man who just likes to spend big money to make them do it for him to watch. The money's easy, but after all, everyone's still. Before he could finish, Lee Chunbei went straight up to him. This is so sudden. Before he could finish, Lee Chunbei went straight up to him. Seeing this scene, Choi Byuk-won was very satisfied. He said to the rest of them, anyone who doesn't want to do it, get out. Don't kill the mood here. Just like that, only Lee Chunbei was left in the room. Right in front of Lee Chunbei, he viciously humiliated him. You're really lowly, obeying like a dog. Just to make money, you dare to do anything. Daring to do anything just to make money. Yet Lee Chunbei was thinking, this guy is really, still, he just happened to like him. One way or another, he was determined to reel this man in. After toying with him enough, Choi Byuk-won couldn't be bothered to waste more time. Tell me, what kind of person is Jang Deou? I know you're close with him. Lee Chunbei's heart sank, a chill of disappointment washing over him. So he was actually a guest of big brother Jang Deou. Then did that mean he had no chance? Seeing that he refused to speak, Choi Byuk-won simply pulled out money. But Lee Chunbei didn't want money. He only wanted Choi Byuk-won himself. And so, while Choi Byuk-won enjoyed using himself as a bargaining chip, he casually dug up everything on Jang Deou. Turns out, just a swindler buried in debt. That kind of person was far too easy to handle, not the least bit challenging. Choi Byuk-won tossed the money aside and turned to leave. Lee Chunbei immediately ran after him. He had no grounds to keep Choi Byuk-won, so he could only use Jang Deou as an excuse to hold him back. Choi Byuk-won didn't want to keep wasting time on this idiot. Just then, a call came in. Something had happened at the company, and he needed to go handle it personally. But he absolutely couldn't let those two be together again. So he set his sights on using Lee Chunbei. The air of the small shop was filled with a sweet yet sour stench of decay. Jang Deou wished he could grow himself onto Beiheo's body, holding him, pressing against him, rubbing against him again and again. He even turned the tables and blamed her, saying it was all because Beiheo dressed too cutely today that this happened. The commentator wanted to say, if it were you, wouldn't you do the same? Beiheo was afraid of being seen by the guests. As for Jang Deou, he might not even know what it means to have a sense of shame. Beiheo saw him becoming more and more impudent and directly grabbed the frying pan to smack him once. When you're in the shop, just focus on working properly. Fortunately, the boss wasn't here today. Jang Deou held his head and muttered quietly, oh right, why didn't the boss come? Beiheo explained calmly, this shop is just something he uses to pass the time. He also has a company to run, so it's impossible for him to come every day. After hearing that, Jang Deou couldn't help sighing. No wonder he dresses so formally every day. Rich and handsome. He's basically the perfect catch. The moment Beiheo heard that, he felt annoyed, and his tone dropped. What? You got a thing for him now? Jang Deou became even happier when he saw this reaction. Wasn't this just jealousy? What should he do? It was actually pretty cute. He moved directly in front of Beiheo. But the one I like is someone cute like you. Beiheo's face instantly flushed red to the tips of his ears, making Jang Deou's heart itch with desire. Made Jang Deou's heart itch. Go! There aren't any customers yet. Let's go sit in the back for a bit. The next second, he saw Beiheo pick up an enormous pot, and he immediately jumped to the side. What a headache. Having a lover who's too shy is really hard to deal with. I suddenly remembered I still haven't finished my work. Seriously, he won't even let a tiny joke pass. Beiheo immediately pretended to be angry and warned him in a low voice to behave himself. Jang Deou's smile grew even more obvious. Your shop is way too dramatic, huh? The tiny shop owner turns out to be a domineering CEO, and the staff is this hot-tempered. After hearing that, Beiheo fired back. And you've got plenty of secrets on you too. Jang Deou was instantly speechless. The fire had burned right back onto himself. His heart clenched, and he hurried to think about how to clearly explain those past experiences. Just then, someone walked into the shop. When Jang Deou turned around, It was someone he absolutely hadn't expected. The moment he saw Lee Chunbei, he was genuinely happy. The next second, Lee Chunbei lunged straight into his arms and hugged him with a death grip. "I finally got you. How could you go so long without contacting me? Jang Deou, you know perfectly well my whole heart is set on you. Look at you, you've gotten thinner. Have you not been eating properly again?" As he spoke, he nuzzled his face all over Jang Deou. "Look, even your chest has gotten smaller." The more absurd Lee Chunbei's words got, the more Jang Deou wanted to shove him away. "Let go of me first, then we'll talk." He had just tried to push him away when he turned his head and saw Beiheo staring at them in utter shock. Jang Deou forcefully pulled away Lee Chunbei, who was clinging to him like an octopus. "Lee Chunbei, calm down first. Lee Chunbei, calm down." But when this guy heard Jang Deou call him by his real name, he got even more excited. He immediately wrapped his arm around Jang Deou again. "Looks like you've been doing pretty well, bro. You're even starting to call me by my real name." Seeing the two of them acting like no one else was around, Beiheo still walked forward and gently tugged at the hem of Lee Chunbei's clothes. There are other people here, you two should pay attention to the occasion." Only then did Lee Chunbei seem to notice him. He immediately grabbed Beiheo's hand in high spirits. "My name is Lee Ho. Nice to meet you." Beiheo was startled by how overly familiar he was and could only politely state his own name. Spoonneck, seeing no way to ignore this, also had to politely introduce himself. When Lee Chunbei heard him call him Beiheo, he smiled and said to Jang Deou, "Shell is such an adorable name. Say, should I change to a cute name too?" "Not that it'd matter. Even if you change it, you're still you." Watching how naturally they were chatting, Beiheo couldn't help asking, "What exactly is your relationship?" Jang Deou immediately explained, "We used to be colleagues." Lee Chunbei was clearly dissatisfied with the word coworker, and the next second he directly pulled Jang Deou into his arms, murmuring suggestively against his ear, "Between us, there are plenty of shameful little secrets, you know?" Jang Deou was so startled on the spot that he threw an arm around Lee Chunbei's neck in a headlock, forcibly choking the words back down before he could spit out anything even more explosive. Then he lowered his voice to warn Lee Chunbei, and after making sure this guy wasn't going to act up again, he immediately turned back to explain to Beiheo, "Don't listen to his nonsense. We're not in that kind of relationship." Beiheo actually understood too. With someone as handsome as Jang Deou, there was no way his past had been uneventful. He dodged the hand Jang Deou reached out. "No need to explain to me, just get to work." Jang Deou also knew this wasn't the time to get into it, so he simply dragged Lee Chunbei over to a seat in the shop and pinned him there, then turned around to get busy. But it wasn't long before Lee Chunbei started flirting with the customers in the shop. Jang Deou's head was about to explode. He really wished this guy would just vanish on the spot. What on earth had he come here for? When the customers finally left, Jang Deou sat down across from Lee Chunbei, his voice forced down over his anger. "Can you knock it off for a second?" Lee Chunbei looked completely puzzled. "What did I do now?" Jang Deou sighed. This is literally what he does for a living, so it would actually be weird if he didn't put on airs. "What exactly did you come to see me about?" But instead of answering, Lee Chunbei poured out all his grievances in one breath, saying how much he'd missed him to the point of pain, and even accusing Jang Deou of never picking up his calls and making him worry to death. Jang Deou said he had lost his phone. Only then did Lee Chunbei come to his senses. So that was it. It wasn't that his big brother didn't want to contact him. Lee Chunbei grabbed his hand in one go and pressed it to his own face. "Have you been doing okay? Your hands have gotten this rough, and you're still wearing such cheap clothes. They're unbearably ugly. And you even have to work part-time in this filthy, fish-reeking seafood shop." He said it with tears in his voice, as if Jang Deou had suffered some earth-shattering injustice. Beiheo was clearly pretending to be busy off to the side, but the more he listened, the more stifled he felt. "Is working here really that bad?" Then he heard Jang Deou reply coolly, "I'm doing just fine. Don't worry about me. It's you I'm wondering about. How did you find this place?" Lee Chunbei instantly perked up. "A customer in your shop told me. He came here specifically to ask about you, then told me you were working here. Now that was strange. Who would be so idle as to come asking around about him?" Lee Chunbei said excitedly, eyes and brows dancing. "That customer was absurdly handsome. Bro, you're insane. In a dump like this, you can still reel in someone that top tier. The only one who fit that description was the boss here." With a gulp, Lee Chunbei jumped up on the spot. "What the heck? I thought he was the owner of some big corporation, and it turns out he just runs a restaurant." One second he heard Jang Deou say he's not, and the next he heard Jang Deou say, "He really is the owner of a big company." And Lee Chunbei was instantly fired up. "My sixth sense really is spot on." Seeing his reaction, Jang Deou understood at once. This kid had set his sights on the boss. You'd better not get involved with him. He's not a good person. Anyway, stay away from him. After hearing this, Lee Chun-bae slapped his thigh in sudden realization. No way, bro. You and the boss have a thing going on. You really have some imagination, huh? So that's why he's staying in this crappy place for the boss. Just picturing the way this kid had mentally paired him with the boss made Jang Deu's back go cold and his scalp tingle, and he shouted in collapse. Are you sick or something? Hurry up and take back those filthy thoughts of yours. I'm warning you, he's not as simple as you think, and you might end up losing yourself in the process. What about you, then? They all say you ran off with the money. Mahyung's been looking for you this whole time. It's not like you're short of money. What on earth are you hiding? Or, are you protecting someone? I don't need you worrying about me. I know what I'm doing, Jang Deou replied irritably. That much is obvious, isn't it? Even a pig could guess. It's because of NY, right? Seeing that Jang Deou didn't deny it, he couldn't help swearing out loud. I knew it. It's that bastard again. Jang Deou looked indifferent. Just leave it. I don't want to live that kind of life anymore anyway. But Lee Chun-bae suddenly got worked up, yanking Jang Deou toward the door. No way. You have to come with me to Seoul and make things clear to Ma Hyung and the others. Right now, Jang Deou had no desire to go back at all. Raising his voice, Lee Chun-bae pressed him. You don't feel even a bit wronged? What's so good about him that he's worth you risking your life over and over? Just then, Beiheo suddenly grabbed Lee Chun-bae's hand. Let him go. He lifted his eyes to look at the two of them. One tense, the other explosive. Jang Deou doesn't want to go with you. Can't you see that? What are you to him? What right do you have to drag him away? What are you to him? What right do you have to drag him away? Already furious, Lee Chun-bae snapped at Beiheo. Then what the hell are you? What right do you have to meddle in our business? Jang Deou immediately raised his eyes, his gaze as cold as a blade, locking hard onto Lee Chun-bae. Lee Chun-bae had never seen him this fierce before and was struck speechless on the spot. Silenced under that stare, Lee Chun-bae couldn't say another word. Jang Deou didn't have time to explain much either. He'd deal with this trouble first, then talk. In a little while, who knows what else this guy might blurt out. Jang Deou grabbed hold of Lee Chun-bae and headed straight out of the shop. Only Beiheo was left, standing there in a daze. I'm already rotting in the mud. Do I still have the right to like anyone? Through the glass, Beiheo looked at the two of them chatting and laughing. Bitterness surged up all at once, wave after wave. Lee Chun-bae was puzzled about why Jang Deou insisted on staying. Is it because of that person in the shop? Jang Deou frowned in displeasure. What, that person? You're really rude. Finish eating and hurry up and go. Lee Chun-bae burst out laughing with a beefed. Even Jang Deou himself might not have realized it. He already cared this much about Beiheo. He hadn't expected that, after going through something like that, he would actually dare to like someone again. Xia Xiao still tried to persuade Jang Deou earnestly. Clean up the mess from before as soon as you can. But Jang Deou didn't care at all. I know what I'm doing. Just as the two of them were drinking more and more, and their conversation was getting more and more heartfelt, the door was suddenly pushed open. You're still drinking? The moment Jang Deou saw who it was, he immediately stood up nervously, his eyes sweeping from head to toe. Didn't I tell you not to go out alone this late? For no reason, Beiheo felt a bit wronged, but forced himself to say, I'm not a 3-year-old child. It's raining outside. He pushed the umbrella in his hand forward a little, as if to say, I'm just here to bring the umbrella, not to disturb you. Jang Deou glanced outside, and it really was raining. He wanted to wake Lee Chun-bae up and tell him to hurry home. But the moment this guy saw Beiheo, he instantly got worked up, pointed at Jang Deou and yelled, Who do you think you are? What's so good about you? Our Jang Deou bro. Before he could finish, he fell straight over, so drunk he blacked out on the spot. That night, both Jang Deou and Beiheo were holding in their anger. The more Jang Deou looked, the more of an eyesore he found Lee Chun-bae. Beiheo was kept awake by Lee Chun-bae's snoring. His eyelids simply wouldn't close. What was worse, Lee Chun-bae didn't sleep honestly. With one turn, he wrapped himself around Jang Deou, insisting on sticking close. Seeing that scene, Beiheo's hands itched. He really wanted to tear them apart, his heart aching with jealousy. But as soon as he thought of what Lee Chun-bae had said during the day, he instantly deflated. What standing did he have to meddle in their business? Yet by what right did he have to not meddle? He turned over, wanting out of sight, out of mind. They'd only known each other a few days anyway. Besides, given the way he was now, how was he worthy of talking about love? He forced himself to calm down. Feeling this awful was only because of Jinju. He was just afraid he wouldn't have another chance in the future, that was all. Suddenly, a gura sounded by his ear, directly cutting off his train of thought. Jang Deou made a shushing gesture at him. Keep it down. Don't wake him up. Lee Chun-bae suddenly came running over, probably scaring little Pearl. Jang Deou raised his hand to smooth Beiheo's hair, his tone very soft, as if afraid he'd misunderstand. "Don't overthink it. He's just a younger brother I know." That sentence directly made Beiheo's whole face flush. "Why are you explaining this to me?" Only when Jang Deou saw him like this did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. Then look at that deep, tender gaze of Jang Dou's, and that coaxing mouth of his. After just one round, Beiheo was the first to lose. Seeing Jang Deou getting more and more out of hand, Beiheo immediately reached out to stop him. There was still someone sleeping right next to them. He had no intention of doing a live broadcast. As for Jang Deou, that guy didn't care about saving face at all. If we get found out, then we get found out. Let him see clearly so he can understand what our relationship is. The commentator wanted to say, "Lee Chun-bae, you get up. Sis is going to sleep in your spot." Just as the two of them were completely carried away and their movements were growing more and more out of control, that damned Lee Chun-bae suddenly sat up. "What are you two doing?" The two of them jolted on the spot, their hearts almost jumping out of their chests. "Did you guys go to a beauty salon? Why didn't you bring me?" He was still grumbling there. "Why didn't you bring me?" After muttering a couple of complaints, he just flopped back down again. After confirming that Lee Chun-bae really wasn't awake, it was a false alarm. Only then did the two of them finally catch their breath. The night was still long. Things like dignity and pearls had long since scattered all over the floor. They had originally wanted to live broadcast their relationship to Lee Chun-bae on the spot, but unfortunately he wasn't that lucky and slept off his hangover the whole night. The first thing he did when he woke up was still to look for water to drink. Only after he finally recovered a bit did he notice that those two were still clinging tightly to each other. Lee Chun-bae pulled the corner of his mouth in a bitter smile. It looks like this time, Jang Deou is going to fall even deeper. Suddenly, he felt his foot kick something hard. Felt like a pearl. How could something like that be here? Beiheo, however, noticed another problem first. Why could this person, just like Jang Deou, so righteously strip down in someone else's home? Lee Chun-bae hurried to put his clothes on. He was used to being a gigolo, and after showering he would just come out like that. Looking at such a pure little seashell, he couldn't help wanting to tease him a bit. If he wasn't praising how good-looking he was praising his good personality. After just a few lines of small talk, he steered the topic around to the boss. Beiheo immediately stressed that he and the boss were not that kind of relationship. He had also seen it. Was Lee Chun-bae interested in the boss? Suppressing his emotions, he advised, "He's not a good person. You'd better not provoke him." But Lee Chun-bae just laughed. "That's exactly what Jang Deou said." Beiheo stared at him seriously. "I'm not joking." At that time, he truly thought he would die there. But unexpectedly, he actually had a chance to escape. He was all alone in the world, with only one thought left in his mind. The only person who could save him. But that person was not salvation. He was another demon. Seeing him zone out, Lee Chun-bae raised his voice to pull him back. "What are you thinking about?" Beiheo shook his head. "Nothing. Are you going back to Seoul today?" As if remembering something, Lee Chun-bae simply laid his cards on the table. "Actually, your boss is the one who sent me. I promised him I'd take Jang Deou back." Beiheo had never imagined this man had actually been sent by the boss. On the ride back, thinking of the look of disdain on Jang Dou's face when he took the senior phone, Lee Chun-bae couldn't help bursting into laughter. Well, it couldn't be helped. He himself was also someone who never saved money. But no matter how unprincipled he was, he could never break the two of them up. It had really been a long time since he'd seen Jang Deou smile that happily. That guy named Beiheo looked quite kind, but he still felt he was a bit unreliable. Probably influenced by and why everyone in Y found seemed like a walking troublemaker. He fished a business card out of his pocket and gave the driver the address written on it. It was fine even if he didn't complete the mission. Who was he? This goblin had plenty of tricks up his sleeve. If you don't give it a try, how will you know whether you can bite through this hard bone or not? On the other side, Jang Deou was still nitpicking the senior phone in every possible way. Beiheo found him, listened to him complain all the way, and comforted him in a low voice. "I think it's pretty good." Jang Deou immediately felt embarrassed. "When did you get here?" Beiheo said he had just arrived. "Where's your friend?" Losing face, Jang Deou forced himself to hurry things along. "He left. Let's go, we're going to be late." Looking at Jang Deou walking in front of him, Beiheo raised his voice and asked, "Isn't today a day off? Where are you going?" Jang Deou looked back at him, completely puzzled. "Isn't today a day off? Why did you even come out?" And with one glance he saw it. Beiheo had even changed his clothes and had his hair styled. In an instant, Jang Deou understood. No matter what excuse Beiheo tried to make, today had to count as an official date. But the problem was it really okay to drag Beiheo into a life as messed up as his? Yet he couldn't control himself. He only wanted to hold on to Beiheo a little tighter. What should he do? The stuff in the market was practically being given away. Beiheo immediately switched on sweep mode And the more Jang Deou watched, the more annoyed he became. Weren't they here for a date? But Beiheo was full of righteous confidence. If they were going to live together, of course they had to buy a lot of things. Even so, living together didn't mean buying this much. Beiheo was angered by his attitude. We're going to live together in the future, of course we'll need a lot of things. Stop nagging. There's still a pile left to buy. Jang Deou fell silent on the spot. More? You're buying so much in one go it'll last a whole year. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were here to stock up for resale. Beiheo pulled the cart with a dark face and was about to leave. We need all of this. Jang Deou hurriedly stopped him and lowered his voice to persuade him. A lot of this really isn't necessary. How about seeing if we can return some of it? As soon as the words fell, Beiheo exploded. What do you mean, not necessary? It sounds like you could leave at any time. Jang Deou was stunned. He didn't understand why Beiheo would think that. He had clearly never thought about leaving Beiheo, but they really couldn't keep buying like this. Yet right now Beiheo simply couldn't listen to anything. The two of them tugged back and forth, and with one careless move, everything crashed to the ground. Beiheo stared at the things scattered all over the floor, and his mood suddenly sank, as if something had been stabbed deep. While squatting down to pick things up, Jang Deou quietly asked, "What on earth is wrong with you today? Why are you so worked up?" He saw Beiheo muttering under his breath, so he leaned in closer and asked, "What are you saying? Since we're going to live together, you'd better get your attitude straight. Don't act like you can walk out anytime you want." The moment Beiheo shouted the words, he immediately ran into the surrounding people's stares, and Jang Deu's shocked question. "Why would you think that? Maybe you've misunderstood me about something." He was so embarrassed he didn't know how to continue. A distant call from a quilt seller rang out, and he took the chance to say he was going to buy a quilt, then turned around and ran off. Jang Deou wanted to go after him, but when he looked at all the things scattered on the ground, he could only stop where he was. After shaking off Jang Deou, Beiheo tightened with frustration. Why did I have to yell at him so loudly just now? He really had bought too many things. When Jang Deou came over later, he could just return part of them. Just then, a tipsy middle-aged woman carrying a liquor bottle stopped him. He didn't know this person. She was probably a customer who had bought something at the store before. She acted overly friendly and asked if she had seen him at the seafood restaurant. Lolo chimed in with a beaming smile, asking if he was that guy from the seafood place. But the woman said contemptuously, "Yeah, Beiheo from the beautiful Lulu Grilled seafood restaurant. Who doesn't know him? The shellfish who spreads his legs whenever he sees a man. Everyone, come look. He's even prettier than a woman. No wonder all the men in town are scrambling to sleep with you." Hearing the whispering all around, Beiheo felt chilled to the bone. But what else could he say? The middle-aged woman had brutally ripped open the wound he had never dared to touch. "Hey, you lunatic!" The woman cursed as she yanked at his clothes. "Stop it! You think you're that great? Take your clothes off and let us all have a look." Thankfully, a few kind people pulled her away, and as she looked around the jostling crowd and spotted someone, she suddenly shouted in excitement, "Hubby, come here. Look, I've caught that shellfish you like." Who would have thought this middle-aged woman was actually Nuljin Sareji's wife? Those two pieces of trash really were made for each other. More and more onlookers gathered around, and at this point Beiheo felt both helpless and afraid. But the auntie still wouldn't stop tugging at him, forcing him toward Nuljin Sareji. "Hubby, look, don't you go eat shellfish every day?" Nuljin Sareji had wanted to leave, but this damned woman just shouted it out in public. He was even more afraid these words would spread and anger Choi Byuk-won. After all, that man really could make people like them disappear without a trace. Just after eunuch Nuljin Sareji finished scolding, the auntie dumped all her anger on Beiheo. "What? Now you won't even take your man when he's handed to you? What are you pretending for? Hurry up and get up." Seeing that Beiheo still didn't move, she grabbed the bottle in her hand and poured it straight over Beiheo's head. At that moment, someone suddenly clamped down on her wrist. "Old hag, are you out of your mind?" The auntie first looked at Jang Deou, who had stopped her, then lowered her head to look at Beiheo. Once she realized what was going on, she actually laughed and said to Beiheo in a mocking sing-song tone, "Does your little boyfriend know you sleep for free every day?" Jang Deou was so furious he cursed on the spot. "Shut the hell up!" He couldn't lay a hand on this old woman, so he could only pin Nuljin Sareji down and give him a vicious beating. Taking advantage of the chaos, Beiheo turned and fled. But he didn't know how he was supposed to face Jang Deou. The night sky seemed to be crying for Beiheo too. Jang Deou was still frantically searching everywhere for him. About to go crazy, Jang Deou was still frantically searching everywhere. Where on earth was Beiheo? It was so cold and he was wearing so little. Would he get frozen? How could he be so stupid? In the very first second he got the phone, why didn't he save his number? Just as he was about to go home and check first, he saw someone sitting by the sea. He immediately quickened his pace and rushed over. It really was Beiheo. "Why are you foolishly sitting here? At least find a place where you can shelter from the rain." Beiheo gave him a hollow glance, then lowered his head again. Suppressing his voice, Jang Deou carefully asked, "Are you cold? Have you eaten?" But Beiheo just stared at him and asked, "Where is it?" Jang Deou froze. Where is what? He instinctively looked around. Damn, he'd left it in the market. "I'm sorry, I spent a long time walking around to buy it. I'll go back and look for it right now. I should still be able to find it." Beiheo's fists trembled as he clenched them, and he still couldn't stop the tears from falling. Thinking of what had just happened at the market, Jang Deou directly pulled him into a hug, forcibly blocking back the words that were about to come out. "It's too cold. Let's go home first." He knew that those things in the past were like knives to Beiheo. Only after holding him tightly did he realize that Beiheo was trembling even more. Jang Deou reached out and touched his forehead. It was frighteningly hot. This was bad, he had a fever. Worse still, in the next second Beiheo simply passed out. His clothes weren't even properly on when he woke up in an unfamiliar place. Beiheo was so frightened that he immediately sat up, and only then did he see Jang Deou beside him, who was tidying up his clothes. He frowned and asked, "Where is this place?" Jang Deou pushed him back onto the bed and pulled the quilt up properly. "You need to rest well. I just randomly found a hotel. It's okay. Sleep a little longer. I'll go out and buy you some medicine." Seeing that Jang Deou was about to leave, Beiheo panicked and rushed after him, throwing his arms around him. "Don't go. Don't leave me behind." Forcing his emotions down, Jang Deou coaxed him. "You have to take your medicine. I'll come right back after I buy it. I won't be long." But Beiheo couldn't take in anything now. He only knew one thing. He didn't want Jang Deou to leave, so he simply used his mouth to block Jang Dou's words. Just like that, every attempt at persuasion was answered and swallowed up by his kisses. Beiheo was almost pleading, "Please don't go. Stay with me." The more Jang Deou looked, the less he understood. He pushed him back onto the bed. "What on earth is wrong with you? I'm just going out to buy medicine. Why are you talking like I'm never coming back?" Beiheo completely lost control, his tears unstoppable. "I heard you on the phone. You're going back to Seoul. When were you planning to tell me? We've only been together for such a short time and you're already leaving. But right now I can't live without you." This scene suddenly made Jang Deou recall those piercing words from Manhwa. "I don't need you at all. You're just a burden in my life. Can you stop appearing in front of me?" He looked at the sobbing, shaking Beiheo and finally realized, turns out he could be needed by someone too. Jang Deou couldn't hold back a laugh. "What? Just because of this? I really do have to go back to Seoul to take care of something. I'll come back when I'm done." "I won't leave you, idiot." Beiheo froze. "What is it? How can my boyfriend be this cute? I need to deal with that crap as soon as possible. It's nothing big. Don't worry. I'll tell you before I leave." Beiheo had made a huge misunderstanding and instantly felt so embarrassed his whole body burned. Now Jang Deou really couldn't leave. Jang Deou teased him on purpose. "How much you don't want me to go depends on how you perform." After one session of high-intensity fat-burning exercise, back at the market today, were you scared? Jang Deou could see Beiheo's unease at a glance. "No one could be more panicked than me, right? Let's go. The people here aren't friendly at all. Let's go somewhere no one knows us." Beiheo shook his head. "We can't go." Jang Deou was even more confused. Why? That shop used to be his mom's. His dad was a useless gambling addict. When he was very young, his mom took him everywhere to hide from debt collectors. They hid in many places and finally settled down here. The owner was someone his mom only met after she opened the shop. The first time Beiheo met Choi Byuk-won was in that shop. Then where's your mom now? She's dead. He still doesn't know how much they actually owed back then. Later those people found them. The shop was gone and so was his mom. When he was at the end of his rope, it was Choi Byuk-won who pulled him up and even bought that shop back. Later, the two of them ran the shop together up to now. So no matter how hard it gets, I have to pay back everything I owe him and protect this shop. This is the only wish I have for my mom." Jang Deou hugged him, his voice a little hoarse. "Right now, I don't know what I can do for you." Beiheo's wish, however, was very simple. "I just want you to stay with me, always. That's enough." When Beiheo finally fell sound asleep, Jang Deou was still staring at him. When he's asleep, he really looks like a child. Jang Deou picked up the pearls beside him and couldn't help sighing. Today's pearls are especially big. They're really beautiful. The lover who was still passionately wrapped up with you last night. What time is it now? The one who was holding you last night has, after one night of high-efficiency fat burning, run off with the money. When Beiheo woke up, Jang Deou was already gone. Disappearing together with Jang Deou was also last night's string of pearls. But Choi Byuk-won appeared here instead. Holding down his emotions, Beiheo wanted to figure it out. What on earth is going on? He anxiously shouted at Choi Byuk-won. How are you here? Where is Jang Deou? What did you do to him? Tell me now. Choi Byuk-won sneered, his face full of mockery. Even if I told you, do you think you could handle it? And with you standing here like this, naked, I can't have a proper talk with you either. Put your clothes on and come out again. Right, I threw away all your old clothes. Move faster. Don't waste my time. Even with the table full of delicacies, Beiheo didn't pick up his chopsticks once. He only wanted to know right away where exactly Jang Deou was. Choi Byuk-won looked at him and laughed. Long time no see, you've gotten thinner. Your complexion is terrible too. Looks like your boyfriend hasn't been taking good care of you. Back then you sounded so sure of yourself. I really thought you'd found someone powerful to rely on. Faced with his mockery, Beiheo was so furious he cut him off on the spot. What exactly are you trying to do? You think I'll still obediently listen to you? Choi Byuk-won didn't care in the slightest. Instead, he slowly asked, what, you don't like the food? Aren't these all your favorites? Are you even listening to me? Where is Jang Deou? Choi Byuk-won was still smiling. What, afraid I did something to him? Too bad I didn't. Don't you have any sense of what's going on? How much do you actually know about him? True enough, if you really knew what kind of person he is, you wouldn't be this angry. Beihyo's heart sank and a faint panic rose in him, but he still refused to believe it. Choi Byuk-won said mildly, if you want to know, eat first. With an empty stomach, your brain won't work. When you really get disgusted later, you won't even have anything to throw up. Beiheo glared at him in disgust. No matter how disgusting it is, it can't be more disgusting than being with you. The way I'm living now, isn't it all you're doing? Why did I ever agree to do those things with him back then? Thinking about it now, it would have been better to die in that place. His chest tightened, as if he were about to suffocate. He suddenly stood up, used the excuse of going to the bathroom, and fled in a panic. As soon as he entered the bathroom, he started dialing Jang Deu's number. He prayed under his breath, pick up, I'm begging you. But no matter how many times he called, all he heard was, the phone you dialed has been turned off. Meanwhile, on Choi Byuk-won's side, a notification also popped up on his phone's remote system. So stupid. After all these years, you're still this easy to fool. Looks like it's time to teach you a lesson. He rushed straight into the bathroom, snatched Beihyo's phone from him, and smashed it hard on the floor. He yanked Beiheo by the hair, his expression twisted. He's nothing but a toy. You're shaking? I don't care about him at all. I don't care about him at all. Back then I was just tired and lonely, and being with him was only to kill time. I never thought that after sleeping with him, his body would turn out like that. Even after taking him to the hospital for tests, they couldn't find anything wrong. But in this world, there just happened to be things this outrageous. My life was already dull and boring, and then I actually came across a treasure like you. How could I possibly let you go so easily? The place where Beiheo was injured had already been given a simple treatment. Choi Byuk-won also had gauze wrapped around his injured right hand, and from the looks of it, he was quite pleased with his own masterpiece. He noticed that Beiheo was staring fixedly at the fish tank, motionless, so he leaned in close to Beiheo's ear and whispered, beautiful, isn't it? A rare species, the only one of its kind in the world. I spent a fortune to buy it. It's so sensitive that if you're not careful, it'll die. I can't be away from it for the time being. It ought to know how expensive it is, right? It wasn't that Beiheo couldn't understand what he was saying. He just wanted to know one thing, where Jang Deou was. He stood up, dodging his touch. Cut the crap and tell me where Jang Deou is. Choi Byuk-won picked up the remote and turned on the TV. On the screen was a scene of Jang Deou taking the pearl to be appraised. The more Beiheo watched, the colder he felt, with nothing left in his mind but that pearl that had vanished without a trace. Had he been betrayed? Choi Byuk-won still didn't forget to twist the knife. So he was after the pearl all along. Beiheo's whole body was trembling, his fists clenching tighter and tighter. So what exactly are you trying to say? He asked about the pearl. What does that have to do with where he is now? Choi Byuk-won pulled out his phone. Listen carefully. This is the point. The first thing that comes through is Choi Byuk-won's voice. I know who you are. Who would have thought that a part-timer in a shop would be a top courtesan in the host circle around Gangnam? If I'd known you made money with your body, I never would have hired you. Next comes Jang Deu's voice. Heh, you're only finding out now? The great president's information network isn't that impressive. Huh, don't you people go to places like that all the time? Choi Byuk-won's voice. Someone like you still dares to be this arrogant. Someone like you still dares to be this deep in debt. That's why you're clinging to Beiheo so desperately, right? You want to use him to solve your problems? Is that it? Jang Deu's voice. That's still better than you forcing him to sell his voice for money. At least Beiheo likes me. Doesn't he? Beiheo can't believe this is real. Thinking of all those tiny signs between him and Jang Deou is like a slap striking hard across his face. He's already on the verge of breaking down. Stop lying. You're tricking me. Why are you treating me like this? Can't you just let me go? Choi Byuk-won holds him even tighter, his voice lowered. In this lifetime, don't even think about getting away from me. On the other side, Jang Deou wakes up and finds himself tied to a stool, with a bunch of thugs standing around him. The one who is obviously the leader walks up to him and says with a smile, "You woke up pretty fast. Huh, looks quite pretty up close, but what a pity. You really don't understand that only those who know the times can live long." Jang Deou let out a cold snort. Choi Byuk-won's methods are really despicable. When he got that call, he deliberately used his words to provoke Choi Byuk-won. Only a pervert like you would do something like this. Anyone with a clear head would never do what you did. We'll find a way to deal with the debt. As for you, go face the wall and comfort yourself. Got it? Just then, a speeding car slammed straight into him, and his whole body was sent flying. Right before losing consciousness, he saw Choi Byuk-won step out of the car. He has to leave here immediately. That thing will definitely go after Beiheo. The punk pressed a knife to Jang Deu's neck and squinted as he asked, "Have we met somewhere before?" Choi Byuk-won's eyes turned vicious as he forced Beiheo down onto the ground. Choi Byuk-won pressed down even harder. Beiheo struggled desperately to fight back, but he just couldn't push him away. It was like a great mountain crushing him. Why would such vomit-inducing scum appear in his life? Back then, he had only gone to the warehouse to see whether his mom was there. He never expected to witness a scene he simply could not bring himself to believe. The ridiculous thing was, Choi Byuk-won clearly realized he was there, yet still didn't stop. After a long time, Choi Byuk-won finally came to see him and said right away that he was only with his mother because of him. He absolutely couldn't let his family know. What he wanted to find was a man. Even if it was someone who could marry his mom, it would still take exhausting effort to convince his family. Beiheo was so angry he laughed. "What? Do you have some complaint about my mom? Well, fair, at least she's better than me." Choi Byuk-won grabbed him by the collar and shouted angrily, "Isn't this good? We can be together forever. In the future, I'll pay off your dad's debts for you. Then you won't have to live in constant fear anymore. Don't try to have everything." When Beiheo heard this, he only felt a chill. Then what did that make him? He suddenly flung off Choi Byuk-won's hand. "Who asked you to pay off my debts? Stop disgusting me. What do you really take me for in your heart?" Choi Byuk-won said as if it were only natural, "Isn't this the best way?" Beiheo punched him in the face. "Are you even human? Even without you, my mom and I can live just fine. You've really shattered my worldview. You've already trampled my bottom line. So do us a favor and disappear from our world." Choi Byuk-won's face immediately darkened. "You'd better not regret this." Beiheo didn't want to see him for even a second more. "Get lost. Don't ever show up in front of us again." Later, when he had nowhere else to turn, he could only beg Choi Byuk-won to save him, and then was forced to do those disgusting things again to pay off the debt. Why did his life turn out like this? He struggled and groped around, touching a flower pot in front of him. He didn't even think. He directly smashed down toward Choi Byuk-won's head. "Just disappear from my life completely." Lying on the ground, the lead thug who could no longer get up finally remembered. Isn't he that guy from 2 years ago? He had broken into their base all by himself and brutally took every one of them down. Jang Deou tossed away the weapon he had snatched and pulled out a cigarette to light. After just 2 drags, he spat it out in disgust. His mouth was full of the taste of blood. He swept his gaze over the bodies sprawled all over the floor, way too weak. He grabbed one who was still conscious and forced him to hand over his car keys. He didn't know how Beiheo was now. He had to find Beiheo immediately. The current lover's deceit and betrayal, the ex's threats and exploitation, had pushed Beiheo to the brink of collapse. After injuring Choi Byuk-won, Beiheo walked barefoot into the pouring rain. His heart was dead. He could only wander aimlessly. As he walked and walked, he eventually stopped in front of that grilled seafood restaurant. Beiheo only felt it was ironic. It was like he could never escape this damned fate. His throat tightened, and he began to sob. But in the end, Beiheo still pushed the door open and went inside, when his gaze crashed into that pair of scissors in the back kitchen. In an instant, his mind was filled with scenes of being together with Jang Deou. What a bastard. Lying to him was that fun. In a daze, he saw his mother sitting right across from him. "My Beiheo, living is very painful, isn't it?" Beiheo instantly broke down in tears. Afraid his mother would worry, he forced himself to say, "I'm living very well." "Why would you say that, Mom?" His mother suddenly stepped forward and hugged him. "You've been so wronged. My poor Beiheo. You don't even dare to tell the truth." Beiheo completely collapsed all at once. "I miss you so much. I don't want to live in hell anymore." His mother gently patted his back. "It's okay. Since it's so hard, then stay with mom. After Jang Deou finished dealing with that group of thugs and hooligans, he grabbed some clothes and a car and searched the whole city for Beiheo. But there was no one at the hotel or at home. This was the only place left. Through the glass, he saw Beiheo lying on the ground. He shouted for a long time but still got no response, so he could only rush to the back door. No matter how frantic or terrified he was, the door just wouldn't budge. Just then, the homeless man by the door handed him an iron rod, and only then did he manage to smash the door open. He rushed in, and a pungent stench instantly surged over him, making his heart sink. He threw himself down beside Beiheo, but Beiheo still didn't respond. He immediately picked Beiheo up and realized he was already unconscious. Thankfully, he was still breathing. His gaze swept to the scissors nearby, and only then did he see clearly. The gas pipeline had been cut. How could this be? Everything was fine just yesterday. You'll be okay. I'll get you to the hospital right away. He had just carried Beiheo out of the little shop when the homeless man at the door muttered under his breath, "So stupid." Then he casually flicked the cigarette butt in his hand into the shop. The next second, several booming explosions went off in rapid succession. Jang Deou suddenly turned his head and saw the small shop being swallowed by flames. Damn it, he couldn't care about anything else. He had to save Beiheo first. At the same time, Choi Byakwon also rushed over and burst into loud laughter. This works too. Better to burn everything down. The moment Jang Deou saw him, his anger shot straight up. "You pig! You still dare show your face here?" Choi Byakwon stared at him and sneered. "The clothes you're wearing are stolen, right? They really don't suit you. You're only fit to wear cheap stuff from street stalls." Jang Deou rushed forward and landed a punch, knocking him flat on the ground on the spot. He clamped his hands tightly around Choi Byakwon's neck, genuinely wanting to kill him right then and there. But Choi Byakwon just laughed, raised his hand, and pointed at the surveillance camera by the roadside. "Are you starting to miss that old kind of life?" It was like a bucket of cold water thrown over Jang Deou. He sobered up at once and let go. "How much do you actually know?" Choi Byakwon gave a derisive snort and said, "You think it's hard to dig up dirt on you? You actually went to work as a host? That's insane. Your life is so ridiculous even a novel wouldn't dare write it like this." Jang Deou, furious, told him to shut up. Choi Byakwon kept rambling on. "They've already thrown you away, haven't they? Where do you plan to take Beiheo? Have you really thought it through? Our Beiheo is still young and can be easily tricked. But I'm about to be a father soon. Don't you think it's really inappropriate for you to meddle in someone else's family affairs? Madman, you're meddling in other people's family affairs. Don't you think that's completely inappropriate?" Jang Deou only thought this man was crazy. What kind of dad was that? Choi Byakwon suddenly lowered his voice, as if coaxing. "Beiheo said he likes you. He's just too lonely. He's only using you to make pearls. As long as you're willing to give up on Beiheo, I'll settle all your debts. How about it? You want to force me to bow my head with money? Keep dreaming." All that filled Jang Deu's mind was Choi Byakwon's disgusting face. He kept cursing under his breath, but it still didn't vent his anger, so he raised his hand and slammed it hard against the car body. The noise was so loud that Beiheo was jolted awake. The second he opened his eyes, he saw Jang Deou. The memories of betrayal and deception surged back all at once. "Where are you taking me?" Beiheo woke up, and in that instant Jang Deou was both shocked and overjoyed, tears welling up at once. But Beiheo stared at Jang Deou with his whole face full of suspicion, and repeated the question from just now. Seeing him like this, Jang Deou immediately softened his voice to reassure him. "Just rest for a bit first. I'll take you to the hospital, okay?" But Beiheo instantly became agitated and insisted that Jang Deou stop the car. When Jang Deou didn't stop, Beiheo reached out and grabbed for the steering wheel in his hands. Once the steering went out of control, the car was forced to a stop. Luckily, they had been just short of an accident. Beiheo suddenly shoved the car door open and rushed straight out into the rain. As soon as Jang Deou realized it, he immediately ran after him and grabbed him tightly from behind. The moment Beiheo was grabbed, he exploded, struggling desperately. "Let go of me! Let go of me right now! All of you deserve to die. You've all been using me and lying to me." Seeing him accusing him with tears streaming down his face, Jang Deu's heart sank. There had to be some misunderstanding. He wanted Beiheo to calm down first, but Beiheo's emotions were completely out of control. Jang Deou could only forcefully push Beiheo back into the car. "Calm down first, you need to see a doctor." Beiheo lifted his hand and slapped him straight across the face. "You're only doing this for the pearls too. Stop pretending." "Hit," Jang Deou immediately explained. "No, it's not like that. It's really not what you think." Shaking with grievance, Beiheo shouted at him. "I kindly took you in, and you lied about your feelings for me. Are you a parasite? Do you even have a conscience?" Jang Deou cupped Beiheo's face, stared at him, and spoke in a very steady voice. I'm not. Look clearly at me. Only then did Beiheo see. Jang Deou was covered in blood, and he froze. It was Choi Byuen who did this. I never wanted to use you. At last Beiheo's defenses collapsed, and he cried as he cursed, You're lying to me again. Looking at the tear-streaked Beiheo, who was no longer resisting, Jang Deou knew he believed him, and he softly repeated, I'm not lying to you. Let's go to Seoul. I'm not lying to you. Let's go to Seoul. Then he held Beiheo even tighter. He suddenly remembered the way Beiheo had collapsed to the ground back then, and the aftershock made him go cold. Jang Deou was almost begging, Don't ever have thoughts like that again. Do you hear me? I really like you. I really like you. Promise me, don't do anything stupid again. Okay? At times like this, maybe only clinging tightly to each other could soothe their two wounded hearts. It was just that the car was shouldering everything for them, jolted over and over by all the turmoil. After seeing the doctor, he held the sleeping Beiheo in his arms. Jang Deou simply took him straight back to his place in Seoul, undressed Beiheo, and tucked him into bed. Even those clothes that didn't belong to Beiheo were all thrown into the trash can without a single piece left. He sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the brightly lit city. He already had someone he wanted to guard for a lifetime, so the predicament before him had to be resolved. Pearls scattered all over the floor, traded among different men, tormenting him day and night. Pearls scattered all over the floor, traded among different men, tormenting him day and night. Is he really going to keep struggling in that rotting mud forever? He couldn't hold on anymore. To keep him excited, they kept injecting drugs into his body. Even if his whole body convulsed and he hovered on the edge of life and death, this machine of production would always be fixed up by them. Then they would drag him back under the flashbulbs and make him writhe in pain in front of the cameras, until one person charged in alone. Suddenly, the person opposite asked, What are you thinking about? He jolted awake. It had only been a dream. He was clearly on a date with Jang Deou. But why did the person across from him suddenly turn into Choi Byuen? Choi Byuen's smile sent a chill through him. Don't let your thoughts run wild. Remember, you will never escape from the palm of my hand. That one sentence scared him so much that he woke up completely. He was trembling all over, hugging himself, panic flooding his whole body like a tide. The person sleeping next to him murmured softly. That soft sound pressed down all his unease at once. Only then did he realize that yesterday's outfit had already been thrown into the trash can. Changing into Jang Dou's clothes, he lit a cigarette. He stared out the window. The sunlit lines of the city were harsh and sharp. He had really arrived in Seoul. The moment the fire broke out in the bar last night, he was jolted awake, and when he looked up, all he could see was fire covering the sky. That place he had desperately wanted to escape from had suddenly disappeared, and instead his heart felt hollow with panic. Where was he supposed to go next? When Jang Deou woke up and saw his delicate little spouse sitting there like that, wasn't that obviously tempting him to do something bad? As expected of the top escort, in just a short while he had flirted with Beiheo until his face turned red. Seeing the cigarette between Beiheo's fingers, he leaned in and took a drag straight from Beiheo's hand. You've gone bad. Who taught you that? When he heard Beiheo say it was the boss, Jang Deou instantly wanted to slap himself. If he had known that piece of trash would be mentioned, he wouldn't have asked. When Beiheo saw that Jang Deou was about to walk away, he immediately pressed, Did you go out last night? Jang Deou let out an in response and casually took 2 cups to get some water. Hearing that Beiheo was worried, he said calmly, I'm going to take care of things here in Seoul. Beiheo suddenly tensed up and hurriedly asked him how it went. Jang Deou handed over the water and smiled faintly. Don't worry, it's all taken care of. It's not as complicated as you think. Just minor stuff. What were you just thinking about? You seemed so lost in thought. Beiheo lowered his eyes, his voice a bit muffled. I was thinking about the little shop. I want to go back and take a look. The atmosphere froze at once. Jang Deou felt a bit uncomfortable and said quietly, The shop is gone. I know. I saw it, that's why I want to go back and see it. And the place where I lived. I want to figure out what I should do from here on. I've lived there with my mom since I was little. So with everything suddenly like this, I really don't know what to do. Jang Deou comforted him. First focus on healing your injuries and lie down. When you're able to move, I'll go back with you to take a look. For now, just think it through. What can we do together from now on? I hope that from this moment on, you only think about happy things, only think about good things. Leave the rest to me, okay? Once Jang Deou straightened up, the more you looked at him, the more attractive he became. Because now he had a lover he was willing to risk his life to protect. After all, he now had a lover he was willing to risk his life to protect. Just last night, the new shop of the gangster bakeball Hyung had its grand opening. Peter Pan's Ma Dan brought his family to show support, and as soon as bakeball Hyung saw Ma Dan, he couldn't help asking about Jang Deou. The two of them chatted as they walked and entered a private room. Unexpectedly, the very person they were talking about was already sitting inside, smiling as he greeted them. Since Ma Dan was there as well, Jang Deou didn't beat around the bush and laid his purpose directly on the table. He could go work under White Hair, but on the condition that White Hair had to help him pay off the money he owed Ma Dan. After all, back then, White Hair had always wanted to pull him over. White Hair frowned, very puzzled. "Weren't you always really against the underworld?" Jang Deou scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. "Isn't it? Because I'm asking you for a favor? I have an older brother who might run into some danger, so..." White Hair laughed. "I get it. It's your little wife, right?" Jang Deou was so teased by him that his face instantly turned burning red. White Hair was also taken aback. For real, he'd hit the mark. This guy was truly a headache. He clearly looked like someone who should be a ruthless type, so how did he end up with such a love-addled brain? "Of course, I hope you'll join us." White Hair put away his smile. "But our club has its rules. You have to pass a test first." The next day, White Hair thought again about what had happened the previous night. Jang Deou agreed without even thinking. Did he think he was the male lead in some idol drama? "I couldn't help complaining to the tattoo artist girl working on me. How can someone be this funny?" Back then, the bar was still being prepared, I was short of money, and that got me into a bit of trouble. At the time, we arranged to meet at Peter Pan to finalize a deal where I would work with a Japanese gangster. The content of the collaboration was very straightforward. Go find a civil servant and pull some strings. But as we kept talking, that Japanese guy and I started to have disagreements. And it was at that moment that I saw Jang Deou for the first time. That civil servant really liked Jang Deou, practically clinging to him and refusing to let go. Maybe because their talk was getting more and more syrupy, that Japanese guy finally couldn't keep up the act and suddenly started picking a fight. Then he slandered me, cursed me out, and even pulled a knife to slash me. Without a single underling at my side, was I really going to die here? But what happened the very next second was truly unbelievable. A tall, skinny guy with one hand slammed that man's head straight into the wall. Still reeking of alcohol, he said, "Uncle, around here we believe in love and peace. What you're doing is really not okay, you understand? What if you scare people? Damn it. Do you have any idea how much tip money I made today? I was in such a good mood. And you, this cutie, just killed the vibe." In that moment, I understood. This guy is absolutely a real talent. I wanted to bring him under my wing. But Jang Deou actually said he hated bad guys like us the most. He also said, "I have a kind heart. I can't do this kind of thing." But the more he was like that, the more irresistible he became. I wrote a check and handed it to Jang Deou. Compared to waiting on men, isn't doing the things a man is truly supposed to do more meaningful? Jang Deou stared at the number on the check. "Damn, bro, you're this rich? Then stop being my big brother and be my boyfriend instead." Later, he finally understood that he really was someone who put love above everything else. He gave his heart and soul to someone, only to end up with betrayal. Now, for the sake of another person, he was going against his own principles, doing the thing he least wanted to do. No matter what, he couldn't escape it. Like a nightmare, it kept following him. Just now in the crowd, he saw Choi Bayak-won again, and Beiheo was so scared his whole body was trembling. But with just one word, "Bro," from Jang Deou, all his unease was instantly pressed down. Jang Deou smiled and asked him what he was thinking about. "Nothing. Where did you just go?" Beiheo asked, but Jang Deou wasn't in a hurry to answer. He only took out a candy, unwrapped it, and brought it straight to Beiheo's lips. Beiheo didn't even look at the candy and just said, "See what else we need to buy. Let's get everything in one go." Jang Deou immediately got unhappy. How could he do that? This was something he'd bought especially for him. He acted all cutesy like this, but Beiheo directly refused. He didn't like sweets, so Jang Deou stuffed the candy into his own mouth, taking advantage of the moment before Beiheo could react. He lowered his head and fed it to him mouth to mouth. After succeeding, he stared at Beiheo's bright red face, feeling overjoyed inside. It was like there were pearls in his bro's eyes too, round and so adorable. As soon as he said that, he wanted to lean over again and stamp another seal on him. But there were still people around, so Beiheo hurriedly pushed him away. "This is a public place. Don't you know how to be ashamed?" Looking at the shy Beiheo, who was like a little wife, Jang Deou became even happier. "Not at all, I don't feel that way in the slightest." Damn it, could Jang Deou really be an old hand in love? Jang Deou looked at him pitifully and said, "Why not? Aren't we already together?" Beiheo immediately covered his mouth, afraid that the next second he would blurt out some kind of heroic declaration. There were too many people here, it was maddening. Out of the corner of his eye, he swept a glance and saw the shadow behind Jang Deou. Why would he be here? Jang Deou turned to look back, frowned, and asked, What are you looking at? Why have you been so weird these past 2 days? Is it that once you're in an unfamiliar environment, you start getting nervous? Beiheo lowered his eyes, his mood plunging to the bottom all at once. Let's go drink. He thought that as long as he got drunk, he wouldn't see that person again. But in the middle of the night, when the two of them were going at it hot and heavy, he appeared again. Does this count as a kind of warning? It was all because of him that Jang Deou would end up in danger. His misfortune was his own. He couldn't be so selfish as to drag Jang Deou into it. He admitted it, he was scared now, scared that something really would happen to Jang Deou. But tonight, Jang Deou, hold me tight. Only after Beiheo fell sound asleep did Jang Deou slowly sit up. Beiheo's mood had been wrong the whole time. Perhaps it was because he himself hadn't been able to put Beiheo at ease. Having done this line of work for so long, he had long since stopped caring about those things. But I'm serious. What do I have to do for you to believe me? Even if I confessed right now, you wouldn't believe it, would you? I let myself go for too long before, and now it feels like retribution. Forget it. I'll wait until this job is done. Then I'll take Beiheo to somewhere safe and live out our days in peace and stability. He changed his clothes, then left another mark on Jang Dou's body. Wait for me a little longer. He grabbed his bag and walked out the door. But the person who had originally been sleeping on the bed slowly opened his eyes. When he was hanging by a thread, the only thing he could think of was, if something happened to him, what would his brother do? Jang Deou fixed his gaze on tonight's target. As long as he took care of this man, he could take Beiheo away to live a stable life. As soon as their eyes met, that man took the bait and obediently followed him into the bathroom. When the man leaned in, wanting to go a step further, Jang Deou reached back to lock the door and immediately clamped a chokehold on him. He was even rather pleased with himself. I'm already taken, you really have no eye for people. On the other side, Sean Jae-ri was staring at the group photo on his phone. This little wife Jang Deou, he kept feeling like he'd seen him somewhere before. Just then, his subordinate Bai Song-hyun walked over and interrupted his train of thought. Sean Jae-ri said to Bai Song-hyun that as the business kept growing, he needed to find a very tough helper for him. He handed over his phone and casually asked, "So, how is he? Handsome or not?" Bai Song-hyun glanced at it and said, "Isn't this that host who stayed in juvenile reform school?" Meanwhile, Jang Deou was clutching his injured stomach, with a crowd of people blocking the door outside the restroom, looking like they were about to break it down. Turns out that man had long known Seon Jae-ri would take revenge on him. He had always been on guard, and even Jang Deou hadn't expected that this guy had a weapon hidden. Before long, the restroom floor was covered with people who couldn't even move. Of course, Jang Deou also managed to take that man away smoothly. Driving the car, he angrily called Seon Jae-ri. This old guy was way too sly. As soon as the call connected, Jang Deou cursed. "And you told me it'd be easy? I damn near died there." The other party replied calmly, "But you're fine, aren't you? Just take it as a warm-up." "Fine? What do you mean fine? If I had died?" Halfway through the thought, Jang Deou stopped himself. There was really no need to be melodramatic. After hanging up, Jang Deou felt his hand was almost numb, probably broken. Blood was also flowing heavily from his stomach area. Damn it. He had to make it back before dawn. He didn't notice that a car behind him was speeding straight toward him, aiming right at his vehicle. The crash was so violent that the car flipped over on the spot. The people in the car behind jumped out and rushed over to save their big brother at once. Inside the car, Jang Deou had been smashed almost into unconsciousness, and in a daze he saw Beiheo. He was actually smiling as he looked at him. It was the first time he had seen someone living a life even more miserable than his own. In that instant, he felt that his own messed up troubles weren't worth mentioning at all. But at the same time, in that very instant, he also felt a faint new hope for life. Just like that time in the sea, when he thought he really was going to die there, he saw an angel shining with light. All at once, he felt unbearably wronged. He had only just made up his mind to start over. Could they please not take him away? But the angel held him and spoke in an icily cold voice. "Get a grip? Shut up." When he opened his eyes again, what he saw was not an angel. It was him. It was actually that sharp-tongued but soft-hearted person, as beautiful as a pearl. This person must have cast some kind of spell on him. Otherwise, how could he want to give him happiness, want to give him something to rely on, want him to never be troubled again? So he couldn't die, he had to go back. Brother Beiheo was still at home waiting for him. He couldn't go back too late, Beiheo would worry. The person he had desperately wanted to protect had, for his sake, quietly gone away. But Jang Deou still didn't know anything. He handed the man he had caught over to Seon Jae-ri to deal with. He didn't want to listen to Seon Jae-ri nagging. He just wanted to get the promised key, hurry back, and move house with Beiheo. Just as he was about to leave, Seon Jae-ri handed him a card. "Go to the hospital first to get it checked. then buy some good food for your little wife." Hearing this, Jang Deou didn't stand on ceremony and accepted it directly. Watching Jang Deou, who had refused his offer to drive him, Seon Jae-ri shouted across the crowd, "I told you, you were born for this line of work." In response, Jang Deou raised a huge middle finger at him. Sitting on the bus going home, Jang Deou started to worry. His left hand would definitely need a cast this time. What excuse should he use when he got home? He had his wound dressed at the hospital and went home carrying a large bouquet of flowers. He had it all planned. He would just say he accidentally tumbled down the stairs. If Beiheo got suspicious, he would shove the flowers into his arms, add a few soft, coaxing words, and that should be enough to muddle through. But there was no sign of Beiheo in the house. Had he not gotten up yet? Jang Deou was still thinking about giving him a surprise, happily throwing himself onto the bed, only to freeze the next second. There was no one on the bed. Where had he gone? He immediately searched every corner of the place and, in the end, found only a note Beiheo had left behind. "By the time you read this letter, I will have already left. This has nothing to do with Choi Byak-won, so don't go looking for him. Those days I spent with you, I was truly very happy, but I don't belong here. As for what happened in the past, I really can't let it go. It torments me every minute and every second. I don't want to become a burden to you, and I don't want you to suffer with me. I know you're really amazing, you even handled the situation in Seoul with ease, but I want to go look for my own life. So, forget about me. Take good care of yourself, don't get hurt anymore. And also, thank you." Jang Deou couldn't believe this was written by Beiheo. Just yesterday they were still fine, going shopping for daily necessities together. Where exactly did things go wrong? Could it be that his behavior yesterday was too much like a playboy? Or was it like in Y said, that no one needs him, and he will only become a burden to others? No way, there's no way brother Beiheo would be like in Y. It must be that trash Choi Byak-won who did something. How could he possibly lose someone he risked his life to protect? It definitely had to be that useless Choi Byak-won's doing. The moment Seon Jae-ri saw the news, the water in his mouth sprayed out on the spot. This guy really knows how to cause trouble. He came home covered in injuries last night, and today he's on the news making a huge scene at Choi Byak-won's company. What is he trying to be? Some kind of little cutie troublemaker? He rushed straight to the police station to bail him out. Beiheo obstructed official duties, defamed others, and even threatened and intimidated the other party's personal safety. Adding in his prior record, they went straight for a heavy penalty. Even Seon Jae-ri had to send gifts and call in favors, struggling quite a bit before finally getting him out of the police station. Looking at the lifeless Jang Deou, he still couldn't help nagging. "You begged me for his sake, and I've been afraid you were bound to get into trouble sooner or later. That hot-headed, reckless temper of yours really needs to be reined in." But Jang Deou had no interest in listening to this nonsense at all. "Enough. Shut up." This time Seon Jae-ri flared up too, and shot back without thinking. "No wonder your little wife doesn't want you anymore." That line choked Jang Deou on the spot. He grabbed Seon Jae-ri by the collar. "What did you say? Say that again if you dare. What, you want to hit me too? Every time you're upset you just look for someone to clash with head on. Does that really help? Have you still not figured it out by now? With that level of ability, who would be willing to stay by your side? Do you even know what he truly wants?" Seeing that Jang Deou was finally listening, he continued in a lowered voice. "Don't think you can solve everything with your fists. What do you think your brain is for? Hurry up and really grow up. Only then will you truly be able to protect him." Meanwhile, our Beiheo went to see that little shop that had been burned to ashes, then went back to his place and carefully packed his luggage piece by piece. After coming to this unfamiliar little town and getting everything settled, he just sat in front of the door, eyes unfocused, staring straight ahead. He couldn't stop the tears no matter what. Damn it. Why am I thinking about him again? Can't you have a little self-respect? Choi Byak-won, whose injuries had just about healed, looked at the updates about Beiheo on his phone. He only felt that his little pearl had gotten even thinner, but it was fine. In the future, he would personally nourish him back to health. Then he asked again, "What has Jang Deou been doing recently?" The subordinate replied, "In the Jeongnan district, there's a guy running an entertainment club called Seon Jae-ri. Jang Deou has been following him during this period, and things have been going great for him." After hearing this, Choi Byak-won was instead a little surprised. The subordinate probed and asked, "Do you want to have someone take him out?" Choi Byak-won laughed. "To destroy a person's faith, you have to snap it from the root so that he remembers the lesson for the rest of his life. The better things are now, the more tragic the collapse will be later. So, before the time comes, we'll keep our troops still. By the way, Gao Deguang, how is your brother's injury?" Gao Deguang replied, "It's almost fully recovered." Choi Byak-won said calmly, I was just angry at that time. You should be able to understand that, right? Gao Deguang immediately lowered his head and said humbly, "We are all your dogs. We will never complain." Seeing how tactful he was, Choi Byuk-won laughed and said, "As expected, you really are the most useful one. You've worked hard under me. It's time to give you a little reward. I'll put Gangnam District under your control. How about it?" Beiheo thought it was just because he hadn't rested well that he was seeing hallucinations. But even after resting for 3 days in a row, that person would still appear in front of his eyes. If this went on, sooner or later he would be driven mad. All he could do was go to the hospital to see a doctor and get medicine, but those pills could only hold out for a while. Soon he discovered that as long as he kept working nonstop, he had no time to think about anything else. He also finally figured it out. Choi Byuk-won had never intended to give the shop back to him at all. Even if the little shop hadn't been burned down, he wouldn't have been able to keep it. So there really wasn't anything there worth clinging to anymore. The people here treated him very kindly too, didn't they? The hardest time to endure was in the dead of night, when that longing for a certain person could not be held back at all. At night, Beiheo would drive alone, driving until he felt completely hollowed out. What he didn't know was that not long after he fell asleep, someone pushed the door open, and the person he had been imagining in his mind was now actually standing at the door. Jang Deou had gone through a lot of trouble to finally find him. Looking at the room that was in complete chaos with trash all over the floor, Pearl clearly loved cleanliness so much, he must have been having a really miserable time lately. When he saw those psychiatric medications on the table, his heart suddenly sank. How could I be so careless that I didn't even notice something was wrong with my brother? Early in the morning, Beiheo woke up and, seeing the room tidied up spotlessly, felt a little dazed. He heard someone talking in the yard. He pulled the door open and saw Jang Deou standing together with the neighbor's little girl. As soon as Jang Deou saw him, he smiled and asked, "Did you sleep well?" Beiheo only felt that he was having hallucinations again. How could he be seeing Jang Deou? No, he had to hurry up and take his medicine. He searched everywhere. But where was his medicine? Wait, no, where had his luggage gone? He heard that phantom say, "All your luggage has been sent to Seoul." Right after that, the other party grabbed him. "Let's hurry. We can still catch the next boat." He had to be crazy. How could Jang Deou possibly come to a place like this? Just then, the sister-in-law from next door came over and called the little girl to go to her piano lesson. The little girl fussed and refused to go, clinging tightly to Beiheo's arm and not letting go. The sister-in-law caught sight of Jang Deou at a glance and immediately greeted him enthusiastically. Seeing Beiheo in a daze, Jang Deou smiled and introduced himself. "I'm this little cutie's boyfriend. Some time ago, it was my fault for neglecting him. So he threw a tantrum and ran away from home. Honestly, he almost scared me to death. Look, without me, he's here all alone. How pitiful is that?" The next second, Beiheo yanked him into the house and slammed the door shut with a backward shove. Outside the door, the sister-in-law next door held her child in her arms, her face full of regret. Inside, Beiheo demanded fiercely, "Hey, what on earth are you trying to do?" Jang Deou felt a bit wronged and muttered under his breath, "It's not like I said anything wrong. Go back right now. I'm not going with you." Jang Deou flared up at once and grabbed him in one swift move. "What? Trying to run away again? If you want to play, I'll play along. Even if you go to hell, I'll still be able to find you. You think leaving a note means we can be done with each other? Don't even dream about it." Beiheo wrenched himself free with force. "Let go. I really like it here. I'm clearly doing just fine. Why do you have to come and mess everything up again?" "Doing fine?" The room is piled with trash. The floor is covered in pearls. Is this what you call doing fine? With tear stains all over his face, Beiheo suddenly grabbed Jang Deou by the collar. "Are you so desperate to die that you've gone crazy? Have you forgotten that, because of me, you almost had an accident? Dad and Mom and that shop. It was all because of me. Do you also want me to ruin your life too? Don't make me live in regret forever, so you're leaving this place right now. Immediately, at once. Get out." So that was the real reason. Jang Deou just wanted to scold him awake. "I told you, I will protect you and utterly destroy every single threat. Why should we be the ones to separate because of someone else's mistake? Believe me, we will definitely be happy." He is clearly able to shield Beiheo from all harm, so why won't he trust that? Anyway, he already died once by the sea. Without Beiheo, what meaning would his life still have? When Beiheo heard this, he simply couldn't believe it. "You're so good to me. Just because I saved you?" Jang Deou was speechless for a moment, as if he had dug a hole for himself. Could this actually be the knot in Beiheo's heart? He lowered his head and dropped a kiss on Beiheo's lips, pressing down his panic. "No, it's not like that. It's not what you think." Beiheo was already in tears. He really didn't want to hurt Jang Deou. Take a good look at me. Do you think I'm normal? They all call me a pearl-making machine. Do you think someone like me can really live a normal life? But Jang Deou, looking completely serious, said, "So what? In my eyes, you are just you. No matter what others say, you are the one I love. If they dare to bully you, I'll make them see who's crazier, who's fiercer." Beiheo had no idea what to do anymore and could only sit on the ground and cry. Jang Deou held him tightly, heart aching. "I won't ask you to laugh with me, but I beg you, don't cry where I can't see you. Trust me one more time and come with me. Okay?" On the cruise ship back to Seoul, Jang Deou noticed that there was a subtle change in Beiheo's aura. In the past, it was as if there were a thin film between them. Now, looking at Beiheo like this, Jang Deou felt an itch in his heart and couldn't help wanting to bully him. Frightened, Beiheo immediately moved aside. "This is a public place." With an aggrieved look, Jang Deou said, "There's no one here at all, just the two of us. After being apart for so long, you don't miss me even a little." He did miss him, but Beiheo's skin wasn't as thick as his, so he could only forcibly change the subject. "How did you know I was here?" That's all thanks to what Seon Jae-ri found out. Now he owed Seon Jae-ri another favor. But it doesn't really matter. Jang Deou deliberately joked, "How about you give me a kiss, and I'll tell you." Of course Beiheo wouldn't let him have his way. So childish it was unbearable. Jang Deou clicked his tongue and turned to walk out. In no time, he came back holding a handful of pearls. "Tell me, are there really people who act all pure as death in the daytime, yet are this lonely at night? How many times would it take to accumulate this many?" Beiheo flushed with shame all at once and immediately reached out to snatch them. "Cut it out. In such a short time, there's no way you could find a man. What do you use? Do you watch little TV shows? How about we watch together?" The more Jang Deou talked, the more excited he became. Beiheo couldn't bear it anymore and cut him off. "Stop talking nonsense. Can you be serious for once?" Jang Deou kept teasing him, like bullying a little wife. On the surface he looked all pure and innocent, but behind the scenes he was this improper. Beiheo immediately retorted, saying he absolutely did not. Jang Deou directly pulled him into his arms, smiling with bad intentions. "Gu, at that time, what exactly were you thinking about? Don't tell me you were thinking about me?" Hit by a single sentence, Beiheo's chest tightened with a sudden sour ache, and he suddenly felt unbearably wronged. Seeing him like this, Jang Deou's smile vanished in an instant, and he asked in a low voice, "Was it really me?" Tears still wouldn't stop falling. Beiheo immediately raised his hand to wipe them away. Jang Deou panicked all of a sudden. "Why are you crying?" Beiheo stiffly shot back at him. "The wind's too strong. Hurry up. Give me the pearls." But when Beiheo tried to snatch them again, Jang Deou simply stretched his hand out over the sea, loosened his fingertips, and just like that, all the pearls dropped into the ocean. Furious, Beiheo grabbed Jang Deou by the lapels and asked through clenched teeth, "Why did you throw them into the sea?" Jang Deou only laughed and scooped him up in his arms. "From now on, we can just make them together. As long as you stay obediently by my side, there will be lots and lots more in the future. A short separation is better than a new marriage." Jang Deou had already started making plans in his heart long ago. In order to have enough time to enjoy himself, he even specially took 3 days off, and Beiheo just followed him to his new place of residence. The two hearts that had been lonely for too long had already become restless beyond control. Once they got into the elevator, Beiheo forcibly broke this sickeningly sweet atmosphere and asked Jang Deou what he was doing now. Jang Deou pressed the floor button and said he was working at a hotel, then immediately added, "It's not some weird job. I'm just a security guard." Frowning, Beiheo asked if it would be dangerous. Seeing that the elevator doors were about to close, Jang Deou only tossed out a no, and in the next second pounced on him like a starving wolf. After the two of them, still clinging together like conjoined twins, made it back home, the scene could only be described as heaven's thunder crashing into earth's fire, with no way to put on the brakes. After a long bout of contention finally ended, Jang Deou was blow-drying Beiheo's hair for him. Bzz. Suddenly, he felt that the days on the little island actually hadn't been so bad. He didn't have to do those things the boss demanded, nor live in constant fear every day about paying off his debts. But right now he just felt so warm. He really wished time could stop at this very second. Really, he truly wished this moment would no longer move forward. Only after Jang Deou finished blow-drying his hair did he realize Beiheo had already fallen asleep. He suddenly felt a bit guilty. Beiheo must be exhausted. Had he gone too far? He pulled Beiheo into a tight embrace and caught the scent of his hair. Was his shampoo always this fragrant? It smelled wonderful. But in the next second, Jang Deou easily let go of Beiheo again. My brother is already like this. What on earth am I thinking? At this moment, the food delivery he had ordered happened to arrive, and no matter what, Jang Deou had to wake Beiheo up to eat. His brother had gotten so obviously thin that he couldn't skip meals. After eating and drinking their fill, the two of them sat on the bed chatting. Seeing the bed covered in pearls, Jang Deou said, "What? They look even brighter at night." He suddenly thought of those glowing beaches he'd seen online, so he pulled up some pictures and handed them to Beiheo. Beiheo was very surprised. "Is this real? It's so beautiful." Jang Deou said, "It's in the Maldives. Have you ever been abroad?" Seeing Beiheo shake his head and say he hadn't, he continued, "Then let's go live overseas." After hearing that, Beiheo burst out laughing. Come on, there's no way they had the money to go abroad. But Jang Deou looked extremely pleased with himself. How do we not? Just wait. With that, he ran off and lugged back a very large glass tank. Grinning cheekily, he said, "We'll use this and fill it up with pearls. Once they sold all the pearls, they could do whatever they wanted."